South. Furthermore, Ruto has explained that the move to seek out Kenyatta, along with other opposition leaders, including Raila Odinga, is intended to bring about national unity.
It is indeed our place as a country to work together, to find common ground on things that are of national interest to the Republic of Kenya. It is the reason why I am working with the former Prime Minister. It is the reason why I have reached out to the former President. It is the reason why I will reach out to all other leaders so that we can fashion a country that all of us believe in.
In addition, President Ruto has continued to campaign for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who is vying for the African Union Commission chairmanship.
And to confirm that the former Prime Minister is somewhere in West Africa because he is our candidate for the Africa Union Commission chair. And collectively, our support is necessary so that we can use his talent, his expertise, his knowledge to drive the African agenda, because Kenya cannot succeed if Africa fails.
Chief Justice Martha Koome has maintained that she'll not resign amid an online attacks from her detractors who claim that the judiciary cedes to every command from President William Ruto. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the annual Human Rights Summit 2024, Koome dismissed the claims as cyberbullying.
When I speak, I always confess that I'm a victim of cyberbullying, or is it called technologically facilitated gender-based violence. But I know the intentions. It's a business model. I don't know to achieve what, maybe to scare me, to distract me, to defame me, and hold me out of office, but they can try something else.
And the 16 days of activism against gender violence came to an end, ironically, as police unleashed terror on activists in Nairobi amid calls on the government to ensure perpetrators of violence are punished. Scores of rights activists, among them Amnesty International Kenya Executive Director Irungu Houghton, were tear-gassed and arrested for participating in a peaceful anti-femicide march in the city. The campaign, which runs annually from November 25th to December 10th, highlights the impacts of gender-based violence. They've demanded the immediate release of protesters arrested during the demos, including the Amnesty Kenya Executive Director Irungu Houghton. The rights groups have also urged the Inspector General of Police to investigate the violent arrests to hold perpetrators accountable. At least 97 women and girls have been murdered across the country in the last 3 months since October, according to police reports.
Stop killing women! Stop killing women! Stop killing women!
And teachers have a reason to smile after the Teachers Service Commission announced a fresh round of promotion targeting 24,000 tutors in 2 phases. In the first phase, 5,690 teachers, primarily those in acting capacities as school heads and deputies, will be promoted. TSC has already advertised these positions. The second phase, slated for next year, will see an additional 19,000 teachers promoted. The announcement was made during this year's Kenya National Union of Teachers Annual Delegates Conference in Mombasa. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This is one of the hottest show that we can ever miss in the morning, and it's a show that really gives a real situation in the situation room.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much. Nduthai, nice meeting you. Even beautiful in person more than in photos.
Say that again. Character is like pregnancy. You cannot hide it. You know, people hiding here and there, you know, but after 2-3 months, 5 months, now you realize, so that is why the attitude that you were showing us, you're pregnant.
It's like what my grandmother would say. You cannot pickpocket a naked man.
How's that? It's communal, isn't it?
No comment.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
Who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
windows
sleep inside.
Up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, Kenya. Good morning, Nairobi. Good morning, East Africa. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, planet Earth. Traffic in Nairobi. Well, we are talking about something which at this particular moment in time doesn't really exist. Not much of it anyway. But there's something strange, though. Around Hill Selassie and on Mombasa Road, we did mention that there's some construction going on. Ken also did alert us and tell us that there's some construction taking place, and this causes a bit of a snarl up. But all the roads that we know of, all the usual suspects, being the eastern, southern bypass, you're talking about Wayaki, we're talking about Thika Road, you're talking about Kiambu Road, Jogo Road, Landis, Westlands. My goodness, look anywhere you wish. All you will find is smidgens, little traffic, meaning a few cars moving here and there, but nothing to write home about. However, it isn't safe to get out of the water yet. In an hour, all this will change. So for now, enjoy the tranquil driving wherever you are. Keep safe and have a good day.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
Since I'm not shipping out.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the sheep in the bathtub? Or
the sheep man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a sheep. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about the sheep or a sheep goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Mambo Vipi. It's 6:15. It's the 11th day of 2024 of the December of the year. And tomorrow is the Jamhuri Day.
Jamhuri Day?
Imagine.
That's when we got self-reign.
Who knows, man?
Dennis, you're nodding. Jamhuri Day is what happened Jamhuri Day?
We became a republic.
Madaraka Day?
Self-rule. Internal self-rule. Yeah.
Oh, internal ndio ilikuwa kwanza.
Yeah.
And what's the date for that one again? So that's December.
It is the one for June.
It was June. Self-rule. Okay, self-rule. We're ruling ourselves. All right. Then this one is now we are ruling ourselves properly.
Proper.
Okay.
Underscore.
I'm thinking aloud. Thinking aloud. Yes.
Yeah. Think aloud. It's
very
good.
Loud.
Yeah. It's loud. Mambo yenu ikoje lakini?
Salama.
I missed you guys yesterday. I saw a bit of the conversation just before the 7 a.m. And then thereafter, I was occupied. I attended a session yesterday organized by Suzu East Africa. You had them last week, right? Rita Kavashe, the chair of the board and group MD.
CEO.
She's MD. And Aitonanule, Dr. Caesar Mwangi.
Yes.
Dean, executive dean at the Strathmore Business School.
Yes.
So I was at the Strathmore Business School, talking about what we were talking about, the G in the ESG. the G in the ESG. It was quite interesting. Good conversations that we had. Yes, and we had the GOAT himself, Eliud Kipchoge, EGH. Alikuwa pale. In person. Yes. Hakutumana, lakini alituma salamu.
Very good.
Alisema kuja hapa nisalimie nyinyi.
Tumepokea
nyinyi yote.
Tumesalimika sana.
Karibuni sana. Ndu is still not well, eh?
No, this weather isn't agreeing with
imekataa hii maneno.
Yes.
Yeah?
The weather's taken over. She's under the weather.
Completely. It's making her get up, dress up, come to work.
Then when she arrives here, the weather tells her, you go back home.
And then she realizes that she's worn 2 different pairs of shoes.
In fact,
you go and
you know that one at least is okay. Now imagine if she had worn right side mbili. Why is she looking the other way?
Was that not how it was?
It was exactly how it was.
So it was 2 right.
She's got 2 left feet.
So it was 2 right shoes.
Yes, that's 2 right. And she was happy.
Different colors.
Until she got here.
A black one and a brown one.
And a brown one.
But I'm told it's fashionable.
It is, eh?
Yeah, where it is, I don't know, but I'm told it's fashionable.
If you're on the runway, I mean, anything passes.
Oye, dada yetu. Tunamuombea dua. Apone.
Pata shifa ya haraka.
Yes. So we shall have several conversations today, and let me tell you what we'll be discussing at. It's Wednesday, so of course you know that we have the Standard Chartered Wealth Wednesday conversations. Will your wealth reach the next generation? Well, City, yours can reach the next generation. It's already there.
Because I'm already there.
Where
next generation.
Dennis, will your wealth reach the next generation?
With Standard Chartered Bank, definitely.
It's possible.
Possible.
Yeah. The good thing is that at least you already have a next generation.
Yes.
You see, that's a good starting point. So, next generation iko. Sasa ni wealth sasa tutafute. Ndio kuja nene. Pamoja. Zishikane. At 7 a.m. we'll be joined by Paul Njoki, who is the head of affluent banking and wealth management products at Standard Chartered Bank, and Diana Mureithi, who is the head of legal services and private wealth at Anderson. Both of them will come and tell us about taking wealth to the next generation. 8 o'clock, Africa's geopolitical future. What are the shifts and alliances ahead? Dr. Duncan Ojwang, who is a lawyer, will be here. He's not been here for a while, eh?
No, he hasn't been here in quite a while. Yes.
So he'll be here at 8 o'clock. And then at 9 a.m., Dr. Juma Mukhwana is the Principal Secretary for the State Department of Industry, and he will be here to talk to us about. He has written his story. He's going to the next generation. Here's the book, right? It's called My Passion for Change, the autobiography by Mr. Gentleman himself, the Principal Secretary. This guy is a vet doctor. That's his first degree. Then ameenda amefanya mambo
ya mashamba. Amesoma ng'ambo
sana.
Yes.
Maju.
Amesoma.
And he has done quite a bit. He has even been awarded the Norman Borlaug Award for Leadership in Agriculture in 2009.
It's not a small thing.
Yeah, it's not a small thing.
It's not as everybody, hakuna watu wako nayo.
So he'll be here, and we will hear from him at that time. At what time? At 9 a.m. So these are the conversations that are coming up. Are we live streaming the show, Dennis? Live stream Iko on YouTube and Facebook and Kila Mahali, even X.
Yes.
So let's take this quick break at 21 minutes after 6. We'll be looking at the weather forecast now, and then we'll also look at who's online, acknowledge your presence, and then Mr. Muga will do like that. Weather.
Start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Highs of 30 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. And in Mombasa City, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. And we go to Nyeri City, highs of 24 degrees and lows of 12 degrees. Now, let's just go to our neighboring Uganda, Kampala, Uganda, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 18 degrees. And we go to City, where again, say Kinshasa? Kinshasa, yes, highs of 32 degrees and lows of 24 degrees. And in Paris, France, it's pretty cold with highs of 6 degrees and lows of 5 degrees. That is your weather.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Just recognize some of you, and good morning from Millie Collins, that is Michael Olande, Desmond Ortiz. Now Spice habari zenu, tuko salama sana. Kenyans, let's embrace the fact that politics, there's no permanent enmity. And Don Sabwa as well is listening to us from Nairobi. And Cyprian Kambuni, good morning from Dayton. Lydiah has been salamiwa, uko salama Lydiah. And Jimmy Wekesa, good morning from Munich at 0 degrees Celsius. Now Miss Samnia, good morning Spice. Rosalinda Nekesa, good morning Spice FM from New York City. Now good morning Kenya, that is Musi Els and Rose Grace as well, tuned in from Tamu. And Margaret Wanjohi, good morning Spice FM situation. Let's continue the good work. Now Margaret Wanjohi as well from Houston, Texas, United States of A. And we have Robert Mbogo from Mombasa and Letungale Jackson, good morning from Mombasa, Kenya. And the fashionista says Anti-femicide. And we have OD, good morning Spice FM from Kuala Lumpur. Jamie Munuthi, good morning Spice FM. New family day, new events. Now, how is Ruto going to vaccinate every cattle? Quarter or half is okay. That is according to the fashionista. Now we have Kisa Daniel, Jumbo Spice, EACC should pull up their socks. And the Jumbo Situation Room getting you loud and clear from Phony, Texas. That is James Kamau and Elizabeth Kamau. Good morning Spice team and lovely listeners from Nairobi. Now good morning Spice, tuned in from Brazil. That is Fred Okumu and Onganyi Malala, Munene, Chanel. Good morning Spice team from Sydney, Australia. And A. Ahmed, good morning. All scamology is not leadership. That is according to Ahmed. And Angor, Chemgei, my beautiful people. That is Chamgei, my beautiful people. And anasema siku njema huonekana asubuhi. Good morning, CT. Good morning, Aseto. Tuko salama sana. Ednah and Asha, good morning to everybody. And Sandra Sheria, blessings from Costa Rica. Hello, Kenya. Good morning. Tuanze na maombi. Mapepo Kenya yatoke. We have Peter Mwindi as well, who's listening from Nagasaki City. Carol Nyambura, good morning everybody. Noxie Wabs from Temecula, California. And Dev Kihianyu, good morning from cold Migori. Huyo ni mse wa home, Migori County. Eunice Okelo, good morning. Wapendwa Eric, wapendwa mpendwa, good morning. Margaret Wanjohi as well, and Abere Bethwell, who's listening as well.
Everybody who's online, asante sana for joining us. Keep it locked for more conversation. City.
Yes, please.
Kuna mtu amesema anapenda hii jacket.
Oh, well done. Wajua kuna watu wako na taste mzuri sana. Kama huyo jamaa, ama zile taste yake ni fit. Yes.
Ako tops.
Ako sawa kabisa.
All right, where are we this week?
We are still in the kingdom of Lesotho. Bado tuko hapo.
All right.
Sawa. The capital of this particular country and its largest city is called Maseru. Okay?
Maseru.
Yes. Large city, capital, kila kitu. There are countries on this continent who have a commercial city and an administrative capital. Hapa, one. Right. Here. Proverb. This one is an interesting one. Houses built close together burn together.
Houses built close together burn together.
Yes.
Oh.
House A catch fire.
House B.
Next to house B.
Definitely.
House B also catch fire. Yeah. House A, house B do what? Burn
together.
So, Dennis, what's on the front page of the Standard? Iko wapi?
Iko hapo kwako.
Angalia hiyo.
Now the front page of the Standard now, Ruto and Uhuru talks joint politics. Now that is according to that handshake that apparently happened between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and President William Ruto. Now a surprise meeting between President Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, two bigwigs with a long history together, sends politics into a spin and raises questions on shape of broad-based government, political fate of Mount Kenya and Azimio's future. As well there we talk about stop killing our girls and women. Protesters demand this as we were observing the 16 days of activism. Remember those who were demonstrating in town, tear gas ilirushwa mbaya sana in the CBD yesterday. Sad scenes there, but then again, mambo yetu, the police department needs to do better. And as well, if you just look on page 9, that is uproar over new administrative units as MP sues. That is well articulated on page 9 of the Standard. As well, if you go to page 21, that is WBS debt warning for Kenya. And when we talk about matters to do with sport, CAF assures Kenya on CHAN. There has been talk about the rights to host CHAN being taken away. There's a conversation on that, but CAF now assures that we will be hosting that in the country, including surviving 2003 plane crash from celebration to mourning. Now, in 2003, the angel of death swooped on Martha Karua and her colleagues as they took to the skies after Moody Awori's Busia homecoming. The crash killed a cabinet colleague, Ahmed Khalif, and 2 pilots. Her friend Wanjiru Kihoro remained in a coma for years before succumbing to her injuries. We remember this accident during that time. And if we just go to the back page of the Standard as well, there is matters to do with sport, and CHAN is not going anywhere. CAF assures Kenya. We can see the new president, FKF, Hussein Mohammed, together with Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen as well there. Those are the top stories on the Standard this morning.
Chiti.
Yes, please.
Uko na the Star?
Iko. Star is very good, actually. Yes.
It's very good.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Yes. There are very many stories in the Star, okay? And one wonders what to start with, okay? Let me start with something that is mild and pleasant to hear. Nairobi Marsabit, biggest winners in the 387 billion approved for counties, okay? When you hear such a statement, or when you read such a statement, winners, it means they have received more money than others, okay?
Is that different from last year, or is it...
For those who didn't understand last year, we are telling you the same thing again this year. So please pay attention this year so that next year we don't have to repeat it.
Nairobi and Marsabit.
Walpata Pesa.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
The largest share of the revenue.
Yes, but also the thing that we read yesterday, that Gladma Narok overtook Nairobi in own source revenue.
How much?
Quarter kidogo. They had hit 2.89 billion.
In a quarter?
Yes. Just months kidogo too. Nairobi was trailing. Yes. So it means that the giant can be overtaken. Yes. With all the resources Nairobi has. Narok has overtaken them. This one, let me repeat again. Narok has overtaken them. So the rest of you counties, please wake up. Overtake Narok now. Okay. Abuse and trafficking of heroin, cocaine rises as smugglers find new route. Okay. Unisito, Sitori. Okay. Paracetal boss on the spot for hiring only young women.
Wachia hapo city.
Ati what?
Paracetal boss on the spot for hiring only young women.
Is the boss male or female?
Is a boss man. Boss man mara nyingi anakuwa man. But
na shida iko wapi lakini?
Can I read just kidogo tu?
Please.
Okay. Most of the new recruits are feared not to have bagged the jobs on merit. What do you mean? See, youth is merit. What is this person talking about?
Why is the there is a fear that they didn't bag the job on merit?
Okay, let me just read. This one, okay? To make matters worse, he carries the said women to endless trips at taxpayers' sweat. If they're working and there's a trip and they're employed there. So what did he want?
Anyway. Taxpayers' sweat.
Yeah.
So instead of taking who?
Yeah, and say, okay, which other money is he supposed to use?
And what's the alternative?
Yes, exactly. Making the limited resources of the agency not go to priority work. I thought he's the one who's the boss.
That's a very interesting story. You will read that full story.
I will tell you the full story.
Okay.
Again, the Star has many stories today. I told you this before. Okay, right. Raila scales up his AUC campaign as clock ticks down to February polls. February is next month. I'm saying this because January is a really long month. Okay? It's painful. People don't want to remember January. And the reason is because December is a very joyful month.
Very.
Yes. And sorrow follows joy in January. But February, election. Ishaweri pact deals blow to Kalonzo and Gachagua. Now, this one is what is interesting because bang in the middle of this particular paper, they're saying Muho Kenyatta set for cabinet. Muho Kenyatta is Uhuru Kenyatta's younger brother. For those who didn't know, okay? And he may be, this is now the realm of speculation and looking into the future, which is not very clear. Maybe Ruto's DP in 2027. Moho's entry into politics arena marks an intriguing twist in the unfolding alliances. Okay? Just when you thought you had been diverted adequately. Okay.
Bora wasiguze
Murima.
Bas. Let me tell you what's in the nation today. Putney, from Goldenberg scandal to US gold scam watch list. The US and UK have placed sanctions on Kamlesh Putney and 27 other individuals and firms that they believe have been running gold smuggling and money laundering operation out of Zimbabwe.
He's taken Goldenberg to Zimbabwe.
Oh, my friend. And he's doing very well.
And you know Zimbabwe has gold.
Doing work. Here he's actually not exporting pangas.
Yeah.
It is actual gold. It is not pangas. But now the US is not happy that he's exporting gold.
Why is the US not happy? Why?
Wanasema ni money laundering.
Gold.
Yeah.
Gold, yeah.
There was an expose in the, remember, on Al Jazeera.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. Yes, there
and I
was.
think that could also have played a part in
why are they picking on Putney?
Shedding light.
When is he the only one doing these things?
No,
Bishop.
It's him and 27 others.
Brother Putney.
So he is not alone.
Him and his whole congregation of 27 others.
These are houses that are built close together.
They're burning together.
House A and B.
Fresh details of Ruto-Uhuru truce. President Ruto is expected to mend fences with church leaders, even as the rapprochement with his predecessor is likely to usher in the retired president's men into government. Kenya yetu
Ni nchi ajabu.
Kabisa. Education, end of an era as TSC boss Macharia to retire next year. The teacher service boss Nancy Macharia has announced that she will be retiring early next year, ending her 10-year term at the helm.
She's been there for 10 years only.
Imagine.
I thought she's been there for around like 20.
20.
Yeah. But she's been there for long.
Only 10 years, and we're calling it an era even. Well, even Uhuru was an era. And it was only 9 years.
When you're president, 10 years allowed to be an era, even 5. But when you are just
CEO,
Kufu.
And now, in fact, she is the one who's announcing, you know what I'm leaving. Yeah. See that he got it contract imeisha.
Mimi na kwenda nyumbani.
My guys, time is up.
Ameongelesha watu wa Stanchart.
Amwambia.
Amejisort mpaka next generation.
Next generation.
Retirement is here.
Very good.
They have a photo on the front page of The Nation today. Kenyans run into trouble with the police in march against GBV. Kenyans marched yesterday in the city streets to protest against the rising cases of violence against women in the country. The peaceful anti-femicide marchers were, however, dispersed by police in some parts of the city. The marches happened in several towns across the country. Tear gas, it happened.
Is it true that Irungu Horton was arrested?
I saw a story like that.
I saw the story, but I didn't confirm. Maybe I'll just ask him, Irungu, are you still arrested?
Are you arrested?
Yes.
Ask him.
I'm going to ask right away.
Bang in the middle of the Daily Nation today is about the rollout of what? The UHC, right? So Adani this, Adani that. Adani this, Adani airport, Adani power, Adani what, Adani what, Adani Shah. And chef. Adani linked Shah hospital system fails. The Safaricom-led consortium has signed up a fourth partner to provide a portal to process claims by private health facilities in a potentially costly deal crafted without taxpayers' knowledge after the original supplier of the software failed to deliver on time. So the software that was supposed to come did not come because coming was a big issue. So now the Safaricom, who's the leader of the consortium, decided to look for somebody else who can come faster.
And they sure did come faster. Eh?
We don't know yet.
They're coming faster. The process.
We don't know. Who knows? Who knows? The People Daily has these headlines. APRO greets Sakaja scheme to lease Wangare's iconic Uhuru Park. There's a whole of misunderstanding on this particular move on Uhuru Park. I think, anyway, auditor, 30 billion shillings for Thwake Dam could go down the drain. Dam drain. Yeah. Shah drops 104 billion shilling Adani tech system. Akia mama. Where?
Had we paid for this thing?
Not yet. We were going to be paying it over 10 years.
Okay. So we've dropped that system.
We were like, okay. Now the thing is, in the cancellation of this deal, or if we bring in a fourth partner, we the consortium. We the consortium. If we bring in a fourth partner, what happens to partner 3? Who had the lion's share of
the undertakings for this particular project? Yes.
Anyway, in Kenya. Yeah. In Kenya. Aseta, you'll tell us about the Business Daily. Let me tell you about the Taifa ya leo. Uchaguzi mashinani wapasua chongwa. Inadaiwa washindi wa kura za mchujo mashinani walichaguliwa na wanasiasa ili kufanikisha malengo yao ya kibinafsi.
Okay, na haya yanayojiri ni ya sasa ama ni yale ambayo yamekuwa yakifanyika?
Maneno haya sio mageni mjini.
Basi
ila kwa mgeni jijini.
Yes.
Haya, other headline. Bei ya Kenya imeshuka. Bei ya Kenya imeshuka. Benki ya Dunia inatuambia. World Bank yashusha kiwango cha makadirio ya ukuaji wa uchumi nchini hadi 4.7 kutoka 5%. Basically they're saying our economy is going to grow at a slower rate this year. Sasa kulingana na hawa Waswahili wanasema bei yetu imeshuka bwana.
Ni kama ile ambaye anasimama kwenye ninio inaponyesha na kumbe yanyesha leo na kila mtu ambaye ako karibu naye anaona ni kweli inanyesha. So wanatueleza sasa sio?
Wanatueleza.
Okay, sawa.
Furugu, polisi wakitawanywa wanawake na upinzani sasa usukani nchini Syria. Syria
makubwa pale.
We just pray for them. Katikati mwa gazeti la Taifa hii leo, ripoti ya Afrika ugetoa taswira mbaya ya hali ya taifa na kushutumu serikali kwa kuwanufaisha wachache. Wako na picha kubwa sana hapa ya mwanadada ambaye anajulikana kama Gladwell Otieno. Ni mkurugenzi mkuu wa the African Center for Open Governance, AFRICOG. Headline inasema hapa ni uongo na hongo. Utawala wa miaka miwili wa Rais William Ruto umepokea alama duni na shutuma kali kwa kukita mfumo wa ufisadi na kuepuka adhabu ili kujinusuru kisiasa. Ripoti ya hivi punde ya AFRICOG inaonyesha kwamba Wakenya wengi wanaamini kuwa Kenya inaelekea pabaya chini ya Kenya Kwanza. Kamenuka.
Kimeumana. And the Business Daily this morning now, Eric, you've pretty much heard about aviators. Kuna marubani hapa nje. So that is betting firms doubled to 200 amid tax clampdown. Now, the number of betting firms licensed to operate in the country has doubled to 200 in 3 years, defying a government clampdown on gambling through higher taxes both on companies and punters. Now that means marubani watazidi kwa wengi. Aviators watakuwa wengi sana. And now smack in the middle of Business Daily as well, World Bank warns Kenya on secret Adani type deals. I mean, it is not new. I mean, but anyway.
World Bank.
Yes, World Bank.
They are not secret, bana. World Bank, come on.
If it was secret, how did we know?
But the World Bank group has cautioned Kenya against seeking unsolicited public-private partnership deals following the cancellation of 2.7 billion contracts linked to Adani Group companies.
Yes. They are cautioning us.
They are cautioning us.
Let us also caution them. Stop giving us unsolicited advice. Who asked them to tell us what?
Secretly.
And I think we just go to the next door, and IMF absolves itself of blame on finance bill. Now, the IMF has sought to absolve itself blame in the aggressive push for new taxes through the failed finance bill 2024 in Kenya, insisting the revenue measures were designed by the government. COCC?
We had nothing to do
we had nothing to do with it. Hiyo serikali yenu ndio muongee nayo. And
the IMF boss was in the country yesterday.
Yeah.
And met with the president.
Yes.
Huu ni IMF. Si World Bank ni wale wengine.
Ni wale wengine
ambao wanatupatia advice. Na hao wengine
sisi
wanasema hawajatupatia
advice.
Wanaruka, sio?
Yes.
You know, they need to make up their minds, huh? Are they here or are they not here?
Tuko hatuko.
Okay, sasa tuendelee.
They're here, but they're just not advising.
Not advising, yeah, exactly. Oh, one is advising, the other one is not. So, yeah, take it.
One is cautioning.
Yeah. And the value of public service pension fund crosses 142 billion shillings. Now, the public service superannuation scheme fund value has hit a record of 142.2 billion shillings in 3 years of its operation. You see, now when we talk about matters to do with wealth and making sure that your future is sorted, it is not only doing good in Kenya, but Standard Chartered Bank is there to sort you fully, Eric.
Kabisa. It is 18 minutes to 7. City, you will be telling us about traffic shortly, Cindy.
Yes, I will.
So City will tell us about the traffic, how the roads are looking like, remind us about this company that is digging up roads on Uhuru Highway all the way to Westlands. It's called Shovels and Travels.
Shovels and Travels. That's the name of the Kumban.
Shovels and Travels.
Yes.
A company called Shovels and Travels is digging up the road. So, I mean, would you be surprised, really?
It's really shoveling.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the traffic.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to...
Well, here we are. Traffic is actually beginning to build up. If you look at the area around Museum Hill, slowly, you see vehicles beginning to bunch up together. Muthaiga Square, yes, definitely. There is a gathering of vehicles, meaning traffic is beginning to clog up. But the usual suspects. Now, who are the usual suspects? The usual suspects are Southern Bypass, Eastern Bypass. Traffic is flowing. And it isn't much. There isn't much to speak of. If you look at Mombasa Road, well, Mombasa Road, I was informed there is a company called Shovels and Travels. The shoveling bit, I understand. Erica just corrected me, it's not Travels. Here I am mixing my W's and my V's as travels. They're traveling. Okay, so yes. Well, somehow the digging is still continuing, which means the jams are also going to continue. By the way, you'll find the longest queue of vehicles on that road as a result of this. But when do they say they'll finish this so that normalcy can be retained? Thika Road, yes. Traffic is moving slowly around Isili. You will find vehicles beginning to sort of like congregate together. If you look at Jogo Road, yes, there are areas where, again, traffic is beginning to congregate, but it is flowing, it is moving. Even if you go as far as Mlolongo, yes, you will find vehicles, but everything is moving, there's nothing static. If you're talking about Landis Road, Westlands, all these areas, the traffic exists, but in small numbers, and it is moving.
Spirit with breathtaking. This holiday
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Look at those stories in greater detail. Pick one. City, you're looking for that story of ours.
Yes.
The other one you have to tell us. The one of the parastatal boss who's...
Oh, no, not it's actually here.
Ah, very good. Let's hear it.
Yes. It begins in the manner in which such stories are told, with innuendos and suggestions, and the third person reference. A holder of a powerful office reportedly banged the table at her. Oh, that was a bit jolted. At her juniors over a sustained social media activity of one of her detractors. The person who has been subject to sustained criticism is said to be likely furious at all times, complaining that she is subject to intense scrutiny than her predecessors. This is an alleged concern over the corruption and inefficiency of her staff as the corruption and inefficiency of her staff continue to mount. Her opponents believe that it is a matter of time before she gives in and resigns. Time will tell if the prophecy is right, okay? The parastatal head is a man, allegedly under siege from the board. Why?
Is it a different story?
No.
Same story.
Same story. It's just the writers.
So there's a woman who is the boss who is banging tables at her juniors.
Yes, because she's under stress from her boss. And now the boss who's causing the stress is the one I've just brought into the scene.
Oh, the boss now is the
boss, yes. All right. All right, very. Why? The employment of only young women in the agency has reportedly not gone unnoticed. Insiders say it is not a coincidence. The boss man in his 60s, oh God, is rumored to have a huge appetite for the damsels. Most of the new recruits are feared not to have bagged the job on merit. To make matters worse, he carries the said women to endless trips at taxpayers' sweat, making the limited resources of the agency not go to priority work. Most of the expenses are often listed as workshops and travel expenses.
Is this in the Nairobi or it's...
This is the story I'm reading.
Star.
So, I have looked for the name. These people are not going to give us the name.
They will not.
And it's not the Weekly Citizen.
Yes.
This is not the Weekly Citizen. It is the Star.
Star. They keep saying this man, he did this.
Of a certain parastatal.
Yes. And he's over 60.
What on earth?
They're just giving you hints. They're not telling you anything. But the man is reportedly said to have been abusive and aggressively dismissing his colleague over a sensitive marital matter. Now, this story should have been in the Nairobian. Or the
not even the Nairobian.
Weekly Citizen.
It's a Weekly Citizen story.
Yes, where you've been told nothing. Nothing.
Shetani.
And I think, Eric, I'd want us to go to page 2 of the Standard now. That is the matter to do with sexual violence victims narrating their ordeal in fight for justice. And it is a question of the world pretty much coming together to address matters to do with SGBV, especially in a country where we've seen these cases of femicide happening. But peaceful demonstrations turn out to be ugly scenes with tear gas being thrown around for no apparent reason. Yeah. I know of a journalist yesterday who actually felt the equipment was destroyed and they were hurt while just covering the protests that were happening, which begs the question, when will we ever learn that not everything is handled through violence?
What was the police explanation to this?
So
was it that they were not aware that there was going to be a peaceful protest? Because from all the footage that I saw, there was no vandalism.
Yeah.
There was no violence.
None.
It's just people who are on the streets of Nairobi and were marching and were just saying, stop killing women.
Yeah.
Stop killing women.
That's it.
Stop killing women.
That's it.
So
this thing that we don't understand,
did they become unruly? Did they what was it? Okay, so they disrupted traffic. Yeah. Was there another way that the traffic marshals could, manage traffic situation?
The digging up of holes in the middle of the road disrupts traffic.
Traffic, yeah.
Yes.
And this is coming at a time when we were having that conversation here yesterday, and the team from UN Women was saying the way policymakers need to come in place, like the responsibility bearers at the police need to make sure that this fight on SGBV is actually given the attention it deserves. But when people are out there demanding that actual action is taken, that those who have committed these atrocities are taken to court, are arrested and taken to court, yet those who should arrest them are the ones beating you up in the streets, then who do we run to?
Let me ask this question. Do we think that all these policemen and women, I hope, were simply doing what they wanted willy-nilly. Nobody gave them instructions. They just woke up and said, oh, protest, let's do what we normally do. Let's go and thump these people to smithereens. Is that what they did, or did somebody give them an order?
Police operate on orders.
Orders.
Precisely. So who gave the orders?
The officers on the ground will operate from with orders from their senior, their superior.
Yes.
Their superior, let's say the one commanding their police station or their police division or the regional boss in Nairobi. It will be orders. You know what the police should have done yesterday? Because the police actually have come out to acknowledge that there is rising cases being reported of gender-based violence.
They've said it themselves.
They've said it themselves, yeah. Police themselves have come out to say, the president has acknowledged this and said, yes, indeed, we must do something to address these rising cases. And the president even directed the police to increase their effort in stopping this and bringing those responsible to book. Mm-hmm. What the police should have done yesterday was even say, okay, as you do your march, come to Vigilance House or the headquarters of the IG of Police, Jogo House, come. Yeah. And we are going to release a statement and say, DCI, I'll be here as the IG with my 2 deputies, with the DCI, and we will be saying, this is what we've been doing in the last 1 month on matters of GBV. We have this number of cases that we're investigating. We have this number of people in custody. We have forwarded this number of files to the DPP for prosecution, and so on and so forth. And this is what we'd like to call on the public to help us fight this. They bungled that opportunity. Mm. And basically, by doing what they were doing yesterday and, saying nothing, they are lifting their finger, not just one, but several, to the people. And even just also looking at the president and telling the president, because the president gave an instruction to the police, can you address the issue of gender-based violence? Since the day the president issued this instruction, the police have not come out to say, yes, Mr. President, we are addressing this. Or to the people of Kenya, as you've heard from the president, we are doing this and the other. Police have not done that.
Eric,
and that's why the people were out on the street yesterday demanding that there is a response to this.
Actually, there was a response, but not what was expected, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the very violence that we are supposed to be acting against is what was meted on those who were protesting.
Yeah, and if you just read the Standard, the protesters had begun their march at the Jivanji Gardens and wanted to present petitions to several institutions, among them at the Supreme Court, Police Headquarters and Office of the President at the Harambee House. Now, Irungu Houghton and other protesters were detained at the Central Police Station and were still at the cells by the time of going to press, by the time we were printing this. But Central Sub-County Police Commander Doris Kemei, now an officer who is not authorized to talk to the media, claimed the organizers did not notify the police. So failure to notify the police is met by brutal force and tear gas.
Well, do we really know that the police were not notified? Do we know? We don't actually. And
so let's even say that the police were not notified. All right? And then you see people out on the streets and they are marching and they are many. What do you do? Did you say, all right, so I can see people, let's come here. Who is leading this? Can we have a conversation? Can we understand what you guys want? Can we make this thing work? All right? You have come in, so we are not prepared ourselves to organize traffic so that we can let everybody else access the city. So let's work out this, and the other. So the thing is, the solution is lob tear gas.
And Eric, finally, when you talk about these, the organizers of the protest yesterday, they had communicated on social media. And the police department is a big consumer of social media. And I beg the question, if the police consumes information on social media and also gives us information, why can't they take that information as notification? But they will post people who they've arrested, and we are supposed to take that and say, oh yes, you're doing a good job.
Lest we forget, there were bodies that were discovered at Quarry here in Nairobi. Okay?
Yeah.
The police did not even have the equipment to come and retrieve those bodies.
Yes.
The locals are the ones who went to retrieve those bodies. The police took the bodies, took them to mortuaries. The police have not told us who those women are. Only one, I think, was identified, right? The police then paraded somebody and said, this person has confessed to being the killer of those women.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have even raided his home. We have found paraphernalia, which include underwear, include SIM cards, and so on and so forth. And he's told us, yes, he is responsible. We have him in custody. The police took this man to Gigiri police station. This man walked out of Gigiri police station. The police do not have this man in custody anymore. You know, they have so many questions. In fact, we should be tear gassing the police.
Yeah.
They dispersed and we just know we don't have a police service. I keep asking, do we actually have a national police service in this country?
On paper.
If people can take off from a police station and it's over a month, and this person disappeared and hasn't been found again, police have not moved an inch in telling us who killed the women and who are those women. Police have not told us all these other young people who've died, who killed them. Police have not told us what happened in Endarasha.
Yeah.
21 young boys died in a fire. Many of them, parents just buried a casket. They were told by Johansson Odor that this casket contains the remains of your child, and we only know that because we matched your DNA. This woman, who is the mother to this boy, is not sure that she buried her son. And there are still questions, many questions. And the reaction of the police is lob tear gas at every instance.
Eric, remember there's a woman who was killed and the remains were found at Langata Cemetery the other day.
Yeah.
Nothing has been said. We don't know where the culprit is. But when someone comes to say, do your job, tear gas.
You know, I have to ask a question, though. We know that the judiciary is underfunded.
Yeah.
Are we saying that the police service are working under the same constraints where you are given tasks and told do this, and yet you haven't been facilitated adequately? So what happens? You pile up the frustration, and who bears the brunt of that frustration? The citizenry.
Yeah.
But then it's not the police on the street that I'm referring to. Who is it that makes it possible for them to be on the street doing what they did? Yes, we buy tear gas for use, but surely at every opportunity.
Unajua kwa stone and expire.
Hatutaki expire. Lazima itumike. Taxpayers' money.
If the police, it's possible that the police are facing financial constraints.
Yes.
Okay? They should take that up with their bosses, with the National Police Service Commission, with Parliament. Go and lobby your case.
Yes.
And use the citizens to actually come up and say, we are seeing the police really struggling to do the right thing. They are only going up to extent X, and they're not able to go to extent Z because of finances. But this time, we don't see the police moving to extent X.
Can I ask another question? Are they allowed to protest?
Si waende waache kazi.
They are not allowed to.
They aren't allowed to protest. They can't go on strike.
You are allowed to resign.
Yes.
Like the gentlemen who are now in Haiti.
Anyway, keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we're going to have a happy conversation because we'll be talking about wealth creation and wealth generation and wealth protection, and then transferring your wealth from your generation to the next generation. The first question that we'll be asking our guest is, define generation. Because it's important that we're on the same page. It's 7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm La Ubaga. The Ministry of Education has moved to allay fears from parents and stakeholders in the education sector over the transition of grade 9 learners. With less than a month to go to the reopening of schools, concerns are rife that many schools are ill-prepared to accommodate grade 9 learners in January, who will be the pioneer learners of the CBC curriculum. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos has, however, assured the country that the construction of classrooms is underway across the country and will be completed right on time. The ministry said it has procured 9.9 million textbooks for grade 9 learners, with over 5 million distributed to schools so far.
In terms of the teachers, the retooling is taking place. The employment of 20,000 teachers is ongoing. We have the 46,000 teachers that have already been placed on permanent and pensionable. The books on the ratio of 1:1, the distribution is going on. The exercise is going to be completed by about the 15th of this month. We'll be working to ensure that schools get capitation before they open, so that there is no, suffering of the teachers and of their teachers. We are working with Treasury to ensure that the figures that will be required for January are released just before the schools open.
Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang said the construction of 11,000 classrooms is ongoing countrywide in preparation for grade 9.
Hivyo nataka wahakikishie sisi wote kwamba kufika January tutakuwa tayari kwa watoto yetu wenye wataenda grade 9. Tutakuwa tumepeleka walimu retooling, tutakuwa tumeleta vitabu, tutakuwa tumechenga madarasa. Serikali imewaajiri walimu 20,000 mpya ili tusaidie kwa hii mambo ya grade 9.
Nairobi, Marsabit, Kericho, Turkana and Nakuru counties will receive the highest marginal increase in funds allocation. This is after Parliament finally approved bill allocating and devolved units 387.42 billion shillings. Parliament approved the amended County Allocation of Revenue Bill 2024, containing the new allocation after months of protracted negotiations. Initially, the bicameral Parliament had allocated the counties 400.1 billion shillings, but President William Ruto rejected the amount following the withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024, instead recommending an allocation of 380 billion Kenya shillings. In a significant political move, President William Ruto is considering key cabinet appointments which may bring on board Mohoho Kenyatta, the younger brother of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, former CS Mutahi Kagwe, and former Interior PS Karanja Kibicho. Sources close to the Kenyatta family confided in that, said that discussions from part of the deal struck during Ruto's Monday visit to Uhuru at his Ichaweri home in Gatundu South constituency included this. Ruto called on his predecessor with official communication from both sides, saying they engaged in discussions about pressing national and regional issues, among them ensuring the country remains united.
It is indeed our place as a country to work together, to find common ground on things that are of national interest to the Republic of Kenya. It is the reason why I am working with the former Prime Minister. It is the reason why I have reached out to the former President. It is the reason why I will reach out to all other leaders so that we can fashion a country that all of us believe in.
In addition, President Ruto has continued to campaign for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who is vying for the African Union Commission chairmanship.
And to confirm that the former Prime Minister is somewhere in West Africa because he is our candidate for the Africa Union Commission chair. And collectively, our support is necessary so that we can use his talent, his expertise, his knowledge to drive the African agenda, because Kenya cannot succeed if Africa fails.
That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Obaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
And good morning. Traffic in Nairobi as we speak at the moment around Eastleigh area, Muthaiga Square is getting busy by the moment. If you are using that route, be sure to be careful around there. And as you approach the CBD from Jogoo Road as well, is getting busy. And Landis Road and Railways bus station area is equally busy. And when we talk about Mombasa Road, is part parked. Mombasa Road outside our offices, if you can just peep, is busy due to the construction that is ongoing. Other roads as well. If you're approaching the CBD from Wayaki Way, it is getting busy, especially around the Museum Hill roundabout there. It is getting busy, and other roads, the bypasses are moving, but whichever road that you are using, be sure to be careful and stay safe.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. That's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person, or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler? Who's a hustler?
Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk there at midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
Good morning and welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room on this 11th day of December 2024. It's the Wednesday before the public holiday. It's not just the public holiday. From the 12th, people close. They shut down. Pakas due the 10th of January, right? So this is like closing day for very many people in very many offices. So happy closing day. Unafunga na nani? That's the question. Unafunga na nani? Unafunga na nani? Those were the dreaded ones. Tafunga na wewe. That's a kibuli. Who's telling you tafunga na wewe. Ndu is still away. She's still under the weather. She's not feeling so good. We wish her a quick recovery. Dennis Aseto is our new man on the show, and he's here and he will stay. Today is Wednesday. We're going to have a Wealth Wednesday conversation with Standard Chartered Bank, and as we do that, we are going to welcome our guests. We are joined by Paul Njoki, CFA, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management Products at Kenya and East Africa at Standard Chartered Bank, and Diana Moredi, Head of Legal Services at Standard Chartered. He is also Head of Legal Services and Private Wealth at Anderson. Good morning, Diana. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Good to see you again, Paul.
Fantastic.
Good to see you, Diana.
Asante.
That's usually the hot seat of the Situation Room. And because you came dressed in red,
yes,
you've neutralized the fire. You had the kumbe ulikuwa unajua.
Yeah.
You had the leakage. Siti.
Yes, please.
Please tell our guests two things. One, how to consume liquefied fruit over this Christmas period.
Yes.
Then I'll tell you the second one first.
Yes. We all enjoy the prospects of eating. Okay, you want to eat ugali, you want to eat sukuma wiki, and then you say you want to wash it down with what can you say? Juice. Now Del Monte is telling you, what we have isn't that. What we have is fruit in liquid form. And it's not just fruit. It is selected fruits ripened naturally. And with vitamin D, nakuja na piga, ripened. And then it's taken through the process that gives you what Kenyans, East Africans know as Del Monte quality products. No additives, no sugar, no coloring, nothing. And if you like tomato, well, now they've taken a step further. That's a vegetable. So now vegetable in liquid form. So here you'll be drinking your vegetable. Okay? Now, I am going to make some noise in a few minutes' time. You'll hear some rustling. That rustling is from a hamper that I have next to me here. That hamper has Del Monte products. Now, tell me, what is your favorite Del Monte drink?
Diana?
Pineapple.
Pineapple.
You like pineapple?
Yes.
Okay, that is your preferred Del Monte drink.
Yes.
What about you?
Cranberry.
Cranberry.
Yeah, I always take a packet every time I go to the supermarket.
Every day you've got to, every time you go shopping,
yes,
you will actually walk out with the Del Monte cranberry juice.
Yeah, and I keep it in the car.
Oh, wow. I am going to do you one better. I'm going to give you cranberry apple juice blend.
Oh.
Okay?
Wow.
So you have cranberry because you asked for it, and because you are a wonderful friend, we've added apple to your cranberry.
To keep the doctor out.
And you.
Yes.
Pineapple, you said?
Yes,
well,
pineapple.
we're doing better as well. We're giving you Del Monte Gold Pineapple.
Oh, okay. Love it. Thank you.
Very nice.
Now, these are not just bundles of joy. These are bundles of sweet, succulent joy. So enjoy your Del Monte product.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
So at least we could save one trip.
Thank you.
We have a new one for your car. Oh. Okay. City.
Yes.
The second thing is the proverb.
Yes.
In which country of Africa are we this week?
We were in a kingdom last week and we saw it fit to be in another kingdom this week. We are in the kingdom of Lesotho, otherwise known as Lesotho to most of you, because that's how it's written. Now I want to ask you a question. Can any of you tell me the capital city of this kingdom? The kingdom in the sky, as it is called by some. It's very mountainous. I'll give you a hint. This one should help you. It's not Nairobi.
Oh, so helpful. So helpful. I absolutely have no idea.
Paul?
I'm actually wondering, do they have a capital city?
They actually do. And it's also their largest city. Do not worry. If you have no business with Lesotho, you will not know. It's actually Maseru.
Maseru.
Oh.
Maseru.
Maseru.
Yes,
Okay.
Maseru.
Oh.
Okay, that's the capital city. Now the proverb. Hey, houses built close together burn together.
Houses built close together burn together. Diana, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
I think it's the first thing it brings to my mind is that issue of bad company ruins good morals or something like that. Like with the company you keep will be eventually how your life turns out. So that whatever we're doing, we're doing it together. So if we're excelling together, in this case it's burning, which is not necessarily always a good thing, we're going to ruin each other. So yeah, I think it's about company, the company we keep.
Okay.
Yeah, so birds of feather flock together. I think that's what comes to my mind. Yeah, and which is very close to what Diana has mentioned. Yeah, but it's only that in this case it's a negative connotation as opposed to a positive one. So again, bad company. Yeah, we renew.
But why can positive company influence the bad company? Well, we always look at it from the other side. That if you keep company with bad people, they are going to influence you. Or do you say keep company with bad people so that you make them
But also, one seems to forget that people choose the company that they keep. So this issue of your morals being corrupted, maybe you are the corrupt moral. That's what
you have recessive genes for corrupt morals. That's why you've been attracted to these people.
You're inherently corrupt. Yes. So you just gravitate towards your kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we've hosted Paul here, Paul Joki, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management. And today we want to talk about wealth reaching the next generation. We have very many questions on that. But Diana, Head of Legal Services and Private Wealth at Anderson. What's Anderson?
Oh, Anderson is a global legal and tax firm. So we're an integrated services, full services firm where we offer legal solutions and tax solutions and solutions in the consulting world. Yes, we are I think in 48 locations now in Africa and globally in about 177 locations. So yes, legal tax consulting is Anderson. Yeah.
Wewe ni wakili?
Yeah, so ultimately mimi ni wakili, but I'm what they call a wealth attorney. So a wealth attorney is someone who receives portfolios. Portfolios in a simple sense is just your list of assets and liabilities. And then I advise on how to mitigate legal risk and tax risks and tax risks on the portfolio. That usually ends up with structuring. So structuring means that I create the house in which the wealth sits. So Paul and his team grow the wealth. I build the house in which it sits, therefore save it from fire. So types of legal risks that could be in a portfolio include succession disputes, matrimonial property disputes, debt issues, structuring the debt. If we're dealing with someone who has, say, a business, we're discussing how the shareholder gets their final benefit as tax efficiently as possible. So basically that's what I do.
As in there are such services. Did you know that, City?
No, not really. I know that banks have lawyers, but I assume that the lawyers are there so that when we claim that they have wronged us,
the lawyers
they come and tell us that exactly it is you who wronged them.
And then the lawyers are there to write the small print.
The small print. The ones which when they write for you, first of all, you take your own house, you walk around the room just before you get the courage to agree. Because it's a medical agent, you realize, this is not good news. But this is interesting because it means that someone who does what you do has a specific training.
So
yes, please.
Yes, so yes, I started out as just legal training in terms of an LLB in law. So I am a lawyer at the end of the day. I don't yet have CFA training, but I do plan to pursue it in future. But I have training in terms of like the trust laws. What else? I have training in terms of business strategy, but that's not necessarily related to the role I'm talking to you about now. It's related to other roles I also have in the organization. Yes, but basically that's about it. I have, and then obviously a lot of experience in terms of structuring, onshore, offshore, cross-jurisdictional holding of assets, onshore estates, offshore structuring, as I've said, with obviously the help of the finance experts as well, and then the tax planning. So the tax planning applies to every portfolio. So we say that tax risks are the one risks on your portfolio that are not glaring at you. You don't know whether you're in the best tax position by just looking at it, but when we look at it, sometimes we can show you a way to hold your assets in a way that reduces the tax exposure.
You know, you live in a very complex world. All these things you've explained, just money. I have money, and I want this money to do certain things for me. And then all these things that you've said come into play.
Yes.
So, what happens to people who don't have this knowledge?
Exactly. I'm actually thinking, just to add on that, when I hear you, I'm wondering, so do I need to be really rich so that I'm looking for, I can then afford Diana. At what point does someone require your services, or services of a wealth attorney?
Yeah. So that's an excellent question. And the first thing is to ask, who has a risk on their portfolio? Which is why we're here with Stancha to talk to you about that. Who has a risk on their portfolio? The first risk I've told is a risk of death. So which of us here is susceptible to death?
Everybody.
Yeah. Which means any of us here, if not well structured, are susceptible to a succession dispute. You've seen how succession disputes affect the portfolio. The money is stuck in court, or the building is now not being built. Court has given injunctions. So that's the first person. Who has a risk on, say, matrimonial property disputes, which are taking. We've seen a matrimonial property dispute go all the way to the Supreme Court. So, and they're fighting about assets that are listed in the Supreme Court. In the time that they're fighting about those assets, because they were it's a publicly reported case with multiple rentals in Langata and wherever. What's happening to the rental income then? Is Paul being able to invest it such that it's gaining value for you? Or it's stuck in court, you know? Yeah, so and then which other disputes have I said? Debt. Each of us has debt. Is it structured well? Are we over-securitized? So there are many elements. Our job ideally is to ensure that as the portfolio, the investment managers, that's now the Standard Wealth, as the portfolio managers are growing the wealth is such that it's preserved. It's not dissipating just because of insufficient legal structuring or tax or poor tax planning. Yeah.
Because then everybody
with a
actually needs this. Now, the other question, and Paul, I come to you. We are talking about wealth and then taking it to the next generation. Even before we go into the next generation, every time we have these conversations, people usually segment themselves. All right? So you segment yourself and think, okay, so I'm at that level where I consider myself at a level where I'm consolidating my wealth. So I'll talk to Paul and his team. Someone else is thinking, I'm not yet there, so I don't need to. But from what you have said before and what Diana is saying today is that as long as you're alive and you are doing something, you have an income and you're seeing how this income can stretch, then you are in the category of wealth building.
Absolutely.
And as long as you're in the category of wealth building, then you need to start thinking about the todays and into the future.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now let me ask the question about what is next generation?
Okay, so next generation is the people who will hire from you. That is the next generation. I know it in different contexts. You say the next generation, meaning the people who are younger. But what you found out is that we have people who are 60 years and they are the next generation because their parents are now bequeathing them the wealth. They are 40-year-olds who are, getting this wealth, either businesses, property, could be even investments that their parents have generated over time. So that's the next generation. We also have a case of where the next generation are people who are below 18 years and who are very vulnerable, that have to be protected. Because if the wealth that has been generated by their parents is anything that will reach them and they haven't gotten to the age of 18, somebody has to help. Somebody who is an adult has to help so that then they are able to access that wealth when they become 18. So the next generation can be anyone. But I just want to bring the context again, and I think Diana has framed it very well, and thank you very much, Latiff. But we find that the need for structuring comes in at any point when you start holding any asset or earning any income. And it can be a requirement to save yourself if you are unwell and you need somebody to sign for your hospital bill or for you to be admitted in a hospital. It's as simple as that. We have cases where, somebody is in the hospital. They are the only signatory to the bank account. Their family is trying to figure out a way of how they get the person to get admitted.
Yeah. And
they have money.
The money is in the bank account.
It's there.
But the only person who can remove the money from the bank account.
Yeah, and he's unconscious
is this one who needs to go to hospital.
Okay. Yeah. So even as basic as that, to even say, forget about death now, to save your dear life, you need to start thinking about structuring.
No, that structure look like actually. Now that let's use that example, Diana. Okay.
Yes.
So yes, I have an account with Standard Chartered Bank.
Yes.
I am this. The account is in my name.
Okay.
I am the signatory to this account.
Yes.
All right. Then I fall ill.
Yes.
I'm incapacitated. I need to be admitted to, get the services.
Yes.
So, how would you structure this such that then my next of kin can transact?
Okay. So two things.
Or it can benefit me. Or maybe they don't need to get money from their account.
Okay.
But Paul can give them something else.
Okay. So incapacity is a risk on any portfolio, and one of the easiest tools to deal with incapacity is known as a power of attorney. But before I get to that, once we're having a conversation with that client, we'll ask what would happen if this scenario happened, the scenario you've described. And they would say, if that happened, I would like my daughter to be able to access, or my spouse to be able to access those funds and be able to pay for my medical. Believe it or not, I have one of my clients who has a figure on his trust deed who actually says this is the limit beyond which if you spend up to this money, it's okay. You guys, I'm fine. Now leave me. Let me be. Let me be. So that's the first one. But so if that's what they have come and said, this is I want my spouse or my daughter to do that. So the first thing is they could have discussed with their banker when they're alive and said, when they're in good health, and said, can I add a joint signatory? And then that joint signatory would have those powers. That's the most basic level where they are guaranteed that won't be a problem if there is incapacity.
So conditional joint signatory.
As to whether it's conditional.
You can structure it. We take the mandate from the client.
All right.
Yeah. The
mandate can be either.
Yep.
It can be. It's one. The account name is one.
Yes.
But the operators of the account are multiple.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So that's one. And then the second one now, from a legal perspective, especially, and this is increasingly happening. We're seeing an increase in diseases or mental disorders that are leading in loss of mental faculty. So like Alzheimer's, dementia. So at the start, you still have mental faculty, but somewhere gradually you lose it, and therefore you're not able to manage your affairs. You have two options. You can have a power of attorney, which can be a specific power of attorney. I know you must have seen on TV things people call advanced directives or stuff like that, like ways in which they give up the rights for people to make medical decisions for them. Those ones are essentially under our law, just powers of attorney. So a specific one says, I'm giving you specific powers to operate the account, this specific account. Or a general one where I give up, because I know, say, for instance, this person knows that dementia will gradually increase, they give up all their powers. Now, in the event that this person does not do that, and the issue we're dealing with now is, say, a mental health issue of incapacity, they would have their beneficiaries, which is now option 3, would have to file an application in the High Court under Mental Health Act to get what we call legal managership or legal guardianship. So this person, either the spouse or daughter, whoever it is now appointed as a guardian or manager of this other person's estate. So that's a more complicated route. We don't encourage that, because it means you're filing records in court, you're producing very sensitive information in court. Of course, courts have ways of ensuring that the data is not all over. But yes, we usually advise, think about it in advance, which is why we're here, to tell people what to think about, or at least the solutions available.
Dennis, do you think about such kind of things?
I think about it on a daily basis, only not at this depth. Because at the end of the day, yes, incapacitation is there, whether you like it or not. But in terms of having it structured, not yet. So in terms of this is in new information, there is always that thought of what next, the future and all that. Where do I go to? Because this is information that is lacking out there. Yes.
I think that the first place to start, and that's where Standard Chartered Bank comes in, is that we have set up ourselves in a way that allows you as a client to have a real conversation, a deep conversation with us. And that's the relationship management model. So we have a relationship manager. That relationship manager, and only a group of clients have one relationship manager. And we really encourage that a relationship manager takes care of the family. And of course, if the family so do wish, right? And so that they can have conversation about money. Okay? Like seriously. They can have conversation about their goals tomorrow. Okay? And that's what we call the today, tomorrow, and then the forever. Forever is about legacy. And then once they have identified a need as such, immediately we bring in the experts. So in that case, when you're talking about legacy planning, or how the money may transition or will transition to the next generation, or what you may want to be done when you're not able to sign the check on your own behalf, then we bring in Diana, the legal fraternity, to come and now help the legal documents so that they are proper, it's clear who has the mandate, up to what level, and all that. Then once that legal structure is created, we bank it. And Diana can go into details later in the show in terms of what structures are there, but we bank those structures. And then the wealth is contained in those structures. Okay? So it's like Diana, and help us to build the container in which then we put the various wealth, and then we manage that wealth. And as I mentioned, it can be as simple as just a current account where you have put money, you have a fixed deposit, and you're saying, wait a minute, if something happens, this is what I would like. And then you bring in a power of attorney, or you bring a joint account holder into that equation. It can be a little bit more complex, where you need to put together a trust or a holding company, depending on what structure may fit you. But the starting point is the relationship manager.
Eric, are we going to a break? Okay, let's go so that I can ask the question later.
Let's do that. Take us to a break, City, with Emirates. And in fact, because, we're talking about wealth. You don't just fly like that. You fly business. And you don't just fly any airline. You fly Emirates. Because you have thought about your wealth and your well-being. And you want to lie flat when you're 40,000 feet above sea level.
Well, the 40 feet above sea level is interesting because...
40,000.
Would I say 40,000 or 40?
40.
You almost said 4.
I really like... I don't know why this 40 just keeps sticking on my tongue. 40,000. The movement from actually traveling terrestrially in a very crowded bus, if you have the misfortune of being slightly tall, by the time you reach your destination, you can barely walk. Now, flying can do the same to you. There's some airlines that specialize in cramping your feet. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about a situation where from the time you plan to travel, you leave your official residence or wherever it is that you're leaving from to go to the airport, Emirates ensures that they take you to that airport in comfort. The word limousine comes to mind. That is setting the stage for when you actually board the plane. And when you board the plane, the greetings comes with an array of offers. Do you wish to sit? Do you wish to eat? Do you wish to drink? And if you wish to sleep, do you think that it's only reclining the seat and tell you, no, sir, madam, no. This thing can be flattened flat. And so that your sleep is complete, we will give you pajamas, which you can keep. We'll also give you a duvet, which you must leave. When you wake up and you find that you want to work, Wi-Fi is available. That 40,000 feet, Wi-Fi, galore. After working, the flight is long. You want to watch a movie, now you'll be spoiled for choice. There'll be so many channels to choose from. Movies, a variety of movies, sports, movie, documentary, movie, real, whatever it is they call it, movie. These ones which never end, one episode then the other, movie, okay? And if you want to socialize with your friends, the lounge isn't just on the ground. In the air, you can actually meet, talk, and when we're talking about having a drink, a little tipple, it isn't just your common fare. This will be the top-notch libation, things which it'll titillate your taste buds, but it'll also tickle your mind. You will land the feeling that indeed you had a delightful flight. And then you can go to your destination and arrive not only safe and sound, alert, well, and delighted.
I wish Lydia had captured Diana's reaction as you were telling this story, because Diana is not here. Diana is
in that lounge. The lounge.
Diana the test is being deleted. It's 26 minutes to 8. Let's take this break. Paul Njoki, head of affluent banking and wealth management products at Standard Chartered Bank, and Diana Muridi, who's a wealth attorney, head of legal services and private wealth at Anderson, the global legal and tax advisory. They are here. Will your wealth reach the next generation? That's the conversation today in this Wealth Wednesday conversation with Standard Chartered Bank. Back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This festive season, gift yourself the magic of realness. Because whether it's a laugh, a cry, or a gasp, it's better when it's shared. With Del Monte, the real moments are more enjoyable. Drink up and make merry with those who keep it real this 12 days of Christmas and beyond. This festive season, it's not about what's under the tree. It's about the real joy we create around it.
Made from 100% real fruit juice with no added sugar or preservatives. Enjoy Del Monte. Real, recognize real.
The weather with SpiceFM.
And it is highs of 25 degrees in Nairobi, lows of 15 degrees, and in Kakamega County, highs of 30 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Now in Mombasa City, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees, pretty hot in Mombasa, and in Nyeri town, highs of 24 degrees and lows of 12 degrees. Now we go to Nakuru City, we have highs of 26 degrees and lows of 12 degrees, and Kisumu City, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 19 degrees. Now across borders to Kampala, Uganda, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 18 degrees. And we go to Johannesburg, South Africa, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 18 degrees. And Lagos, Nigeria, highs of 34 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Pretty hot in Lagos, Nigeria. And in Paris, France, it is pretty cold, 6 degrees highs and lows of 5 degrees. That is your weather.
Spice up your life.
Yes. Traffic in Nairobi. Well, for those who have just joined us, well, welcome to Nairobi. Those of you who are in Kenya, welcome to Kenya. And if you're in Africa, welcome to Nairobi as well. And the globe. Traffic is building up gently but very surely. You're looking at Madaraka Road, you will find that there is traffic over there. If you go now to KCA University, which means that you are now on Thika Road, yes, traffic is building up. If you go towards the Pangani, you will definitely find traffic. If you go to the southern bypass, you will find that there's more traffic than there was an hour ago. Let me just put it this way. Whether you are on Wayaki Way, whether you're on Landis Road, whether you're on Jogo Road, the traffic is building up. Mombasa Road, it's not building up, it has built up. And the reason why it has built up, because Shovels and Trowels, that is the company that is doing whatever it is that they're doing on Mombasa Road, are still at it, and the traffic is very, very slow, grindingly halt slow. But beyond that, be careful. Around Haile Selassie, there is also a traffic build-up because something similar is happening. There's construction taking place. If you come across traffic that is untoward, please call us and let us know. Otherwise, do have a lovely day.
Experience unmatched space.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's with Ponjo Key, head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management Products, and Anna Murray, the head of Legal Services and Private Wealth at Anderson. And of course, now your two organizations come together. I'm assuming that I don't have to come to Anderson directly, as long as, and Paul, you said this, as long as I have my relationship manager at Standard Chartered, I give you my needs, then in the background, you are working with Diana to sort me out.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I don't have to pay Diana Kando?
No, you would have to pay Diana. Yeah, but I think the whole idea here, and this is the conversation about wealth, is that we have to do work to structure and organize our wealth so that it can reach the next generation. There's a cost to it, but I think the benefit you get and the avoidance of unnecessary costs, delays, assets that are probably go undocumented and they are completely lost, to reach the next generation. I mean, you've read cases of where a complete, asset was never captured, was never known to the family, and it's lost. So if you compare the costs that you would have to pay to get everything in place and to plan well versus, the opportunity cost or the loss that you would incur if you didn't do it, then obviously it's worth to pay. And as I mentioned earlier, even to save your own life, saving your own life, yeah. So
it's important.
But the question that then comes to mind is this, somebody has an account and there are all these services. Are we saying that the relationship manager then has the mandate to explain all these things to you. Why I bring this up is because there is a division within government that deals with unclaimed assets.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones means the asset exists, and somebody passed away, and nobody knows what to do with it. And somehow there seems to be this rule that you can't go around telling the family, by the way, maybe you didn't know, but he actually has this and he has this accountant.
Yeah.
Is that what the relationship manager is supposed to do?
So what structuring does, it avoids that lapse. So that lapse would happen where I have left my assets at Stanchart. They don't have any other information from me, and of course data protection applies. They cannot disclose your private banking data to third parties without your authority. So they're not disclosing your portfolio.
Family is third party.
Yes. They're not disclosing your portfolio or anything. The bank acts on mandates. Maybe I can say that on behalf of the bank. I think it acts on mandates. So if you've told them disclose, they will disclose. If you've not told them, they will not disclose. So that what happens now, what you're describing is the actual lapse that structuring cures. It's that if you leave these financial assets with a bank and there's no clear guidelines of how they're supposed to be transmitted, the bank after a statutory period will have to forward them to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, who will then look for your beneficiaries under the law. Now, as the law of succession provides, will look for who your beneficiaries are and will tell them about the existence of these assets. But that's easy for financial assets. Say for titles, as Paul is saying, who's looking for them? Who knows that whoever has passed on, who used to own this land that was, and those lands people buy for speculation purposes, somewhere in the middle of a town they've never lived in, a place they don't visit often. Nobody knows about that. The title is not at home, so your beneficiaries have not come across it. No, who's actually looking for that? So if no one is looking for it, it's just lost, as in it just ceases to have any benefit to you and your family. But now, as we're saying, that one of the things your relationship manager will do, as you're talking to them, as you're telling them your goals, today, tomorrow, forever. So you'll say, forever, I intend for this wealth to transmit to my second daughter, to my second generation. When it transmits to my second generation, I would want it covering education. I would want it covering medical. I'd want it covering living expenses. I have a lot of my clients who say when the children get married, I'd want them to have a home, their first home to be bought by that. So then we ask, if you are not there, the relationship manager asks that. And what I'll give to Stanchart and their relationship managers is that they're very well trained. Even I also participate in some of their training, so that when they're talking to you, they're able to see the lapse. And then they'll ask you that question, and they'll ask you, so what would happen? Who would make this decision of that transmission? What is the vehicle of that transmission? That's when we identify there's no will, there's no trust, there's no hold code. There's actually, if you are mentally incapacitated, there's no one to make that decision. Then now we have the discussion and put in the structures. So the structures would cure that lapse. Yeah. And there are many tools, there are many succession tools. We've just, I think, touched on. So wills is one of them. Will is just that. It's a document where once I die, my assets will transmit to whoever I've stated as my executor, and then the executor will distribute according to the will. Will leads to what we call absolute distribution. And now we're discussing the forever absolute distribution. So if the goal you've fed to the goal you've told to the relationship manager is, I want my assets to be distributed absolutely to my 3 adult children, then the will step in to do that. Another succession tool we had already discussed, though it's a limited one, is a power of attorney. That one deals with incapacity, and it's a power of attorney will abate upon death, meaning once I pass on, it has ceased to have power. So now something else needs to step in. If I have assets in my personal name, either the will needs to step in. If I had moved my assets into a corporate body like a trust or a holding company, then those entities will be the ones dealing. The board of trustees or the board of directors and the holding company will be dealing with those assets. The third succession tool is you could decide that I want. And we're having this discussion sometime, that sometimes someone sits with the portfolio, and I also had it, I think, in the earlier conversations, and they realize my land in Nyanyuki that is just for speculation purposes is not adding me value. I want to convert it into, say, bonds or whatever. And in that case, if I've done that, I want to actually say that, this particular bonds are for my youngest daughter. This is my inheritance to my youngest daughter. So this ones I'm holding in an account that is between me and my youngest daughter. So even though I've passed on, automatically, I've moved, my youngest daughter has gotten them. So you see, I've still done succession in a very simplified way. And then so that's basically what we call a gift in law. Like when I'm alive, I've already given you the gift. That's why I've put it in our joint names. And then when I pass on, automatically my part has lapsed. Okay. Yes.
You mentioned tax planning.
Yes.
At this point, does this not come in? Because I would like to understand if I am gifting my children,
yes,
I'm gifting my relatives, I'm gifting my spouse.
Yes.
Are there tax laws that apply to whatever it is that I'm gifting?
Yes. 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 Tax laws
Even
apply.
in death, tax just follows you.
So if you're gifting in death, that's different. That's succession. At present, all our transmission through succession is tax exempt. Meaning if my father has passed on, my father passed on in 2021, if my father has passed on and he has by his will or through intestacy has transmitted a property to me, when I'm getting it, I will not pay capital gains tax, and there will be no payment of taxes. There will be no capital gains tax due or stamp duty. I'll get it, yeah? But now, if my father is alive and he wants to pass on the same property to me, because my father and I are related, we are exempted under what we call Schedule 8 of the Income Tax Act and Schedule 8 of the Income Tax Act. So we are exempted from paying capital gains tax. So capital gains tax is the taxes. I'm selling property to Paul today. Whatever gain I'm getting from it is taxable at the rate of 15%. And those are the things we're telling you. Those are the things your investment managers are saying. Your portfolio is losing value without you knowing, because as that land is appreciating somewhere, the tax, 15% of that gain is taxable, and you do decide to deal with it. And those are the conversations that your investment manager and you are going to be having, your relationship manager and you are going to be having. So anyway, if I'm selling to a third party like Paul, whom we're not related, if I'm selling to anyone, it's 15% capital gains tax. But specifically between a father and a parent to daughter or spouse, there's an exemption for capital gains tax. So for that one, I'll be exempted. But on the stamp duty, if it's a house in Kilimani, I will pay 4%. Me, the recipient, I will pay 4% of stamp duty of the purchase price. So that's also now a tax due. So if we want to tax plan around it, and our clients, I think the most easiest example I can give is someone who stands at the wedding and says, I'm giving my son a 4-bedroom house in wherever, and then comes to the office, let's transfer the 4-bedroom house. And when we're transferring, the first question we have to tell him, so if we're transferring to your son directly, as long as you have a birth certificate that proves he's your son, we'll get the exemption for CGT, but we won't get the stamp duty exemption. But now if you want both exemptions, we can use what is known as a family-owned company. We create a company where you and your son are both shareholders. We put it into the company, and now that's what we call a holding company. We put it into the company, exempt of CGT and capital gains. Then once it's sitting in the company, we exit you as a shareholder. Another father will say, I want it to be held by both my son and his new bride. Now we tell him, because you and your bride are not related and you want them to hold it in their joint names, again, capital both CGT will apply and stamp duty will apply. So if we use the company in this case, first we put you in, and so if we use the family-owned company in this case, after we remove you, we'll bring in the daughter. We'll do something called increasing share capital. We'll bring in the daughter. So we've tax planned around it. But finally, the option we have, but now that one presents a new option. If they get divorced, these are shares you give to this daughter. So this is matrimonial property now. So have you thought about and that's now another risk on that portfolio. So finally, we come to the final option. Let's put it in a family trust.
I want you to belabor this point a little bit.
Yeah.
If they get divorced.
Yes, I want you to belabor this point.
So let me do that.
Yes, please. Go to town on it.
Yes. So let's assume now we've seen from a tax perspective. So there are legal tax and accounting considerations when we're looking at portfolios. So from a tax perspective, we've determined it's tax efficient to go the holdco route, because we're going to be able to exempt the capital gains tax and the stamp duty. That's fine. But now, from a legal perspective, in terms of matrimonial property rights, if these two get divorced, God forbid, do you understand that now this person was gifted these shares, and a gift given in marriage cannot be taken away because we've divorced? We've had very publicized cases on this matter. I'm sure you've seen them on the media. Yes. So now, because I own my shares, so now we have to ask yourselves, what would you want if the divorce happened? I would want a situation where these people continue to live in that house, or that house exists for the grandchildren. So then we bring in the final option. We say, let's put in a family trust. We'll get the exemption for CGT. We'll get the exemption for stamp duty. On top of that, the home is now owned by a trust. The trust is a body corporate, meaning it's a separate legal personality from the person. So Diana Trust and Diana Mureithi are different people.
The trust is actually a person.
Yes, it's a legal person.
In law.
Yes, in law, yes. So that means we're different people. So first, it has mitigated future, God forbid, matrimonial property disputes, because neither of us is married to the trust, so none of us is suing the trust for matrimonial property. And Section 6 of the Matrimonial Property Act specifically states that trust property is not matrimonial property. So that's number one. But number two, let's assume me, one of the spouses in this marriage, likes to pawn off my things to the bank and other lenders, and I have many issues with my credibility or bankruptcy issues.
To loan.
Yes. My bankruptcy issues, the Trustee Perpetual Succession Act specifically specifically points out that the set laws, a beneficiary or as a set law in the trust or as a trustee in the trust, my personal bankruptcy issues don't affect trust assets. So it's also created an asset protection mechanism, which is why Paul, despite me and whoever fighting up to the Supreme Court, Paul is able to continue growing that portfolio very, very without anyone. Yeah. And then now in future, God forbid someone has passed on, even though someone else, you all know the other highly publicized case where someone passes on, husband passes on, the property moves to the wife marries a younger man, so he also acquires a benefit in the property. You remember that? So now if someone had passed on and the other person has remarried, this other person doesn't automatically acquire rights in this property we had acquired for our children. Our children will grow up and will be able to appropriate those benefits. So it's guarded against that risk, which is succession. All the while, the investment manager who had an investment, because at the very start you discussed what your goals are, and when you discussed your goals, you said, I intend for this wealth to fund the college fund or to do something. The investment manager has been growing the wealth systematically and is able to fund those goals. That's how forever plays in. Yes.
Right.
You know, when you explain it, you can just clearly see, this makes a lot of sense. This makes sense. Yes, this makes sense. This makes sense. And these are things that people think about. But, you get stuck at the point of, okay, so I don't know.
Where do I go with that?
I don't know. Where do I go with this information? And I think it's very important that we're having these conversations now, because then it opens up the minds of the people. So wealth.kenya@sc.co.ke. This is where you need to start sending those emails and start booking appointments with your relationship manager. So in the event that somebody had already maybe made certain decisions, okay, but then when you're reviewing, you're seeing that you made a good decision up to this point, but at this point, this decision is introducing new risk. Also because the society is changing, things are happening, the tax laws are changing and all, and so on and so forth. How easy is it to amend, to adjust this when someone is talking to a relationship manager?
Okay.
Is it something that's straightforward? Okay, let's amend this. Or do you have to say, okay, now you've got to go and bring everybody to a room and all of you agree?
So let me start with what we can amend from a banking perspective, and then what goes to the lawyer. So if you want to change your mandate on your bank account, you can change it at any time. You just come and say, these are my new mandate. Okay. If you want to introduce or to open or close a joint account, again, you can do it at any time. Okay. As long as the parties in the joint account have agreed that let's now change this, introduce a third person or a fourth, you can always do that. And again, you can always put assets, investment assets, bonds, mutual funds, fixed deposits into a joint account, and you can also sell them. So there is flexibility in that space. Now let's go to the side which now the lawyer, in terms of the trust and the holdco and the other structures.
So let's remember what we said about the bank is banking whichever structure we give them. So if we give them a family trust, they have mandate for how a trust runs. We have told them there are two trustees who makes which decisions in this trust. So the key thing you want to remember as a settlor or as a testator, the person who's creating whatever the structure, is control. Be very clear on what control you want to have, because amendment is a control issue. If I say that I will be having control, I have it's me and my spouse, we are the trustees, and therefore that means I have a casting vote. I will be the one who just needs to sign on a resolution that goes to the bank and says, change the mandate on this, change whatever on that. So it's a control issue which the trust deed will have spoken to. If we have a holding company, it's a question of how you've drawn the articles or whichever other documents you're having in this company for purposes of running the company. Mostly in this case it's articles. If we're two, there may be a shareholders agreement. So you said that I have control, and therefore once I sign the resolution as the board of directors, I send it to the bank. The bank will do that. So for larger families where maybe there are more people, then that can be more whatever, and in that case we recommend maybe the services of a corporate trustee or some other formal person who would be able to take care of those day-to-days. But generally the rule is maintain control when you're alive. When you're alive, don't need to look for third parties to take care of your own wealth, because ultimately it's yours.
I want to ask the question, because when you think about all these things, succession and all, you're thinking old age, you then are dying peacefully in your sleep, and your children and your grandchildren are now the ones who are left to benefit from this. But then people are dying young as well.
Yeah.
So at that point, let's say you are dying and you're leaving a young family. You have a family, they're young, and the breadwinner or the one who's holding this wealth exits the stage, and they hadn't done this kind of planning. What are you seeing? Right? What are you seeing? What are you dealing with? What cases are you dealing with that are saying we need more and more people to be aware before they get to this level?
Yeah, so firstly, and to quote some statistics, as at the end of the last year, 2023, December, the Unclaimed Asset Authority published that 62 billion shillings have been reported to them. 62 billion. That is money. This is a financial asset. This doesn't include property and all that.
This is just cash.
Cash and investments that are in financial space. They have not been claimed. So already you can see there are a lot of families that are going to suffer, children that are going to suffer when there are money that their parents had already made, but it's just gone and it's there. Okay. And of course, if they don't know, then they don't even have a point to start to claim that money. Now, in the banking space, we see this all the time because when somebody passes on or somebody is incapacitated, sick in hospital, and they need resources, the first thing they do, and they probably, they know this person used to bank with you. So the first thing is they come and say, oh, this has happened.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Yeah.
If no structure has been put in place, is go to court.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
All we do is we block the account.
You used to come with him to the bank. Yes, we know. But
all we'll do is we'll giving us a death notification or whatever. We'll block the account so that there's no entry into that account. And we really encourage people to do that because sometimes they don't, and of course fraudsters may find a path to it. But that's a subject for another day. So we broke the account, and that as much as we can do. The next thing is we just fold our hands and we wait for the courts to give direction. That can take time.
Yeah.
And especially if there's a sort of a dispute, it can take a very, very, very long time. In the meantime, there are goals that you had of this children education. There are goals you had on a number of other things, care for the children, the health and all that. And these kids are growing. Guess what happens? They miss out. So by the time things are settled, the kids have grown up and they've gone to a completely different direction. That even this money you've been now trying to, you get it finally, it can't help them because they missed the years of school. Or they went to really poor schools, right? So they never got the real education that you wanted. So that is the real challenge that we are facing. And it's a present challenge that we are facing in our times.
But is the challenge not also around the relationship we have with money and wealth? We are socialized, all of us, in different and diverse ways as to how it is we understand and in our understanding relates to money. Because that we have a portfolio of 62 billion in unclaimed assets speaks of that relationship that we have with money and how it is the money we have influence our relationships with the people who are dear and loved by us. And because if the understanding was anyway close to what we're discussing here, that portfolio would not even have $1 billion.
I know.
That's true.
I mean, the FinTech Fin Access survey that's published earlier this year said that only about 18.1% 18. Yeah, 1/8. So roughly 2 in 10 people are financially
literate.
Savvy. Let me say savvy. Literacy is something else. I mean, you can use the financial products. I think that's about 42%. You can do M-Pesa, you can do bank transfer, you can do that. But actual real understanding.
Believe me, literacy is not as high as you think.
Okay, even 2 out of 10 is actually very, very low for a country of our status, right? Yeah.
So because even what you're saying is goes to the first and most basic aspect of literacy, in that money mindsets. It's the first thing. yes, that if I don't realize that I need to plan for this money, that's how I end up with my money in Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. And if you're talking about 2 out of 10, we are 5 in this room. It means 2 of us, like we represent a section of the population. So there is, it's when you think that we are people who are, fairly exposed. Everyone living in Nairobi is fairly exposed.
That is the problem, because we think we know.
Okay.
And everything
we
don't know at all. In fact, this
discussion has just shown. And even the very many people who are commenting here, like, and many of them thinking, okay, this is a conversation for rich people.
No, it is not.
You need
people don't get rich in a day. This is the whole point.
Yes, exactly.
It's over time, yes.
But thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having this wealth conversation. They're eye-opening. Paul Njoki, CFA, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management Product from Standard Chartered Bank, and Diana Mureithi, who is the Head of Legal Services and Private Wealth at Anderson Global Legal and Tax Advisory. They've been our guests. Keep it here for more conversations. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. You could be consuming contaminated rice after it emerged that a consignment totaling 2 million kilograms, which had been declared unfit for human consumption, was diverted into the market. Documents obtained from the Kenya Bureau of Standards shows that the rice that was imported from Pakistan in September and October had failed the aflatoxin tests as it contained higher level than locally permissible. Despite the standards body declaration that the rice was unfit, only a fraction was intercepted, with millions of kilograms sneaked into the market, thereby exposing Kenyans to health risks. According to the documents, 83,200 bags of rice were imported by Ghana Food Traders Limited and shipped through the Indian Ocean to the port of Mombasa. The first consignment was released from Pakistan on 29th September this year, and a second consignment was released from Karachi in Pakistan on Mashujaa Day. The Kenyan Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union have threatened to paralyze operations in all hospitals in Machakos if the county continues to ignore the striking medics' cry. Speaking while at the Machakos Level 5 Hospital, KMPDU Secretary General Dr. Davji Atela said that due to the ignorance of the county government, they had ordered all doctors who were giving minimal services as ordered by the court to fully withdraw their services. Dr. Atela insisted that the county government had ignored the collective bargaining agreement and added salt to the injury by withholding 2 months' salary of the doctors who are on strike. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has announced that it has successfully returned to the public land worth 300 million shillings that was seized by fraudsters in Kisumu County over the past 2 months. ACC spokesperson Eric Ngumbi says the seized lands are part of the arrears of various government departments that were already allocated for different projects such as road construction.
That is, the last 2 months, the Commission has recovered public property in the form of land that is worth 300 million Kenya shillings. So this land that had been grabbed by private persons was set aside for a road reserve. There is a road in between here which was grabbed, and somebody already has a title deed for this road.
Some of the government institutions that are affected by land grabbing cases in Kisumu include the Kenya Railways Corporation, the Ministry of Education and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
Those institutions that have lost land to grabbers and the Commission is assisting them to recover the same include the Kenya Railways, the Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Roads, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, KBC, Kiwasco, Kisumu Water and Sewerage Company, the County Government of Kisumu, Lake Basin Development Authority, LBDA, and the Kenya Prisons.
The EACC has warned that people who buy grabbed land will face legal action in addition to losing money for buying government land in violation of the law. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you are sentenced, you are sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. Since I'm not shipping up. You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
you cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. Since I'm not shipping up. You're my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Right. Traffic. Well, traffic at this hour tends to build up, and yes, in true form of that particular statement, it is building up. If you just take a look at, where shall we take a look at? Let's look at Mombasa Road. Mombasa Road, there is definite clog up at that particular point where we have some construction taking place. And if you move along, yes, you will find areas. As we near cross sections, as we near roundabouts, there is a traffic build-up. But beyond that, it is clear. And this is, whether you are talking about Kiambu Road, you will find the areas where there's a slight clog-up, and it's for good reason. And if you look on Thika Road, it is the same. But by and large, traffic is moving, but it is building up. It's building up on Waiaki Way. It's building up on the Southern Bypass, on the Eastern Bypass. It's building up on Jogo Road, on Landis Road. It's building up on Limuru Road. It is building up. By the time we have this conversation in another hour's time, I'll probably be telling you that you now need to drive slowly and carefully because there is a lot more traffic on the road than we have now. And let me just say, drive carefully and have a good day.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and coming up 10 minutes after 8, this is the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. We thank you very much for keeping it locked on SpiceFM, on KTN, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on X, where we live stream the show every weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's Eric, CT, and Mr. Man himself. Dennis
Aseto.
They've got to know, they've got to know.
Yeah.
So Dennis Aseto he's been on the Situation Room for long, reading the news. Now he is in the room, having conversations with us as we continue, as we progress. Dennis.
Yes.
There's Sarit, your city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And people know Sarit, your city.
Mm-hmm.
People know that Sarit has had a very beautiful expansion in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And now we have more shopping areas, more shops, more retail spaces available, more offerings at Sarit, your city. And one of the things that they do at Sarit, your city is around this time, in fact, when malls started looking at Christmas and decorating for Christmas, Sarit went a notch higher.
Mm-hmm.
They lit up the mall for Christmas. So you can actually see Sarit, your city, from very many parts of Nairobi. You just see this lit wall. Mm-hmm. And when you go inside and you find it's a whole Christmas and festive experience and mood when you walk in there. Many of the shops have also started doing their decorations. Many of the shops are offering, Christmas offers, one thing and the other. And Sarit, your city is telling you, as you come and as you shop at Sarit, your city, any of the shops that are offering all these Christmas discounts, also let's think about how we can give back to the community. Mm-hmm. And that's why they have got this giving machine, which is the first of its kind in Africa, it's a vending machine, just like we know it. You go, you buy chocolate or soda or this and the other. But now this one is Sarit, your city, working with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then also working with various NGOs like the Kenya Red Cross and others, and saying we want to extend a giving hand to the community. So you go to that machine and you can see this one has a goat, this one has chicken, this one has a meal, this one has uniform, this one has school support, this has this and the other, and each of them has a price, and you decide, I want to give somebody, a family, a goat. Choose the goat, pay the amount, and the goat will go to a family. Choose a meal, pay the amount, and that meal will go to someone. Choose school support, and that support will go to a family. And so on. There are others who are getting beehives, right? I want to support a community to be able to support themselves. So I choose a beehive. And there's a specific NGO that then is going to deal with communities that have already been identified that will get the beehive. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Teaching the community how to fish.
Beautiful concept. So go there with your family and go to this beautiful vending machine. It's on the second floor of the Sarit, your city. And what you'll see there, it's a good experience. And you also teach your family this is how giving is a good thing. Giving is important. Yeah.
Kabisa.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
Okay. Let's have a political conversation now, and we're joined by a politician who's a lawyer, and his name is Dr. Duncan Ojwang, and he's in the studio. Dr. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
The non-politician.
Buana.
Yes. Let's just not
Did you at any one time vie for political office?
I've vied to be a prefect.
That's political office. You are a politician. Very good. You are a politician. Karibu sana.
Asante, and nice seeing you this festive season. I see that you are gearing towards that season.
We're not gearing. We are inside.
We are inside.
We are already there. We finished gearing a long time ago.
Wow.
We are in the festive season. Karibu sana. Siti.
Yes, please.
Welcome, Mugeni.
Yes.
with something for Christmas.
Yes.
As he's gearing for the festive season.
There's something I'd like to ask you, Dr. Ari. When you're sitting down and enjoying a drink, do you prefer the fermented libation, or do you prefer what we call fruit juices, or do you just prefer plain water or tea? What do you like?
Fermented?
A bag. Yeah.
Fermented porridge. You do.
Excellent. Yes, that one.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Fermented porridge?
Yeah.
And when you talk about fruit juices, what is your preferred fruit juice?
Well, apple and tomato always does it for me.
Oh! Any preference of manufacturer of apple or tomato?
We have been fed and watered by Del Monte for a while.
So you know the name and you like the name?
And the name likes us back because they give us good stuff.
They give you very good stuff. Well, now, since let me give you some good stuff. You said you like tomato.
And apple.
Apple. Or orange. Mix them up. Apple.
What I'm going to do, sir, because you've spoken so well, I am going to give you apple, as you said, and I'm also going to give you tomato.
Wow. This is 2 liters.
Yes.
Christmas has come.
Christmas has come early.
That Christmas you spoke of. Natural.
Yeah.
No added sugar, no preservatives, fruit in liquid form.
Can I talk of New Year also? Maybe.
Yes, you can. Christmas,
New Year.
Apple for Christmas, tomato for New Year.
And you see, you are an authentic scholar. That's why you're called doctor. So you're real. This is real fruit in liquid form.
There I'm seeing the ingredients.
Yes.
No additive, no added sugar, no color, no preservatives.
Yes.
Which is usually very trouble stuff. 100%.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
People out here are drinking 8%. 10%.
It's some chemical concoction.
Right. Barely do they get to 100.
They drink apple color.
And then smell.
And orange smell.
Yes. And it is apple taste.
Right.
Very good. Enjoy that. Enjoy that, Dr. John.
Wow.
City. Then also let's take him to that place down south.
Brother, I want to take you to the kingdom of Lesotho.
Lesotho.
I want to tell you about a proverb from that particular. It is called the country in the sky. Okay? The kingdom in the sky. You know why? It's mountainous.
Oh.
So the country is actually elevated, it's raised. The proverb. Houses built close together burn together.
So they don't like group thinking.
No. Group thinking isn't the problem here. It's the outcomes of group thinking.
The outcome of
yes, especially the adverse variety of outcomes.
For some of us, I prefer to think as an individual but act as a group.
Explain what you mean.
You know, there are people who think as a group and act as a group. Yeah, you think as a group and act as a group. There are others who think as individual but act as a group. Then there are others who think as individual and act as individual. My preference is to think as an individual, but always try to act as a group. Worse is thinking as a group and then acting as a group, because when you think as a group, there are some component of individuality, of looking at things from different perspective that is missing. And that sometimes is the problem down there in the south. They could have thought as acted as a group, but thought as individual. Maybe there could have been diversity.
That's profound.
The juice is kicking in.
You think as an individual, you act as a group.
Yes.
That means that you have to convince yourself, and then you convince others.
Right. But if you think as a group, which it's mob psychology or group think, it's usually one person thinking for everyone. It has its limitation, and things don't get well. The discourse become stopped.
I have a problem with this phrase group thinking and herd mentality.
Group think,
I have. What I have a problem is, are we saying that all the individuals who are in that particular mob or crowd at some point have converged their thinking and it is similar, or is it their reaction? Or are you going to say that the reaction is a product of the thinking?
The sociologists will tell you that a group loses their individuality. That is what can do things you cannot do if you are by yourself, because you have surrendered your thinking. In fact, the way to intervene when somebody is acting crazy because they are in crowd is to call them by their individual name, Duncan. Then it's like awakening them. They're like, So there is something real about group thinking or mob psychology, that there is now no individual thinking or thinking at all. Then it might be that one person thinking, 100 people, but one person thinking for them. And that becomes very dangerous, easily. So here you have float of a crowd acting without inputting their brain into the action.
Let's talk politics, Duncan. We'll start with the politics of the country, and then we look at how that also relates to the politics of the region, right? Africa's geopolitical future, shifts and alliances. Let's just start from home. Our politics in this country seems to be shifting on a daily basis, Duncan. And, today the direction appears to be this, and then the next time the direction appears to be different, and so on and so forth. Is that so, or is it just a small group of people who keep shifting and they appear to be representing the thinking of the nation?
I think there is multiple conversation going on at the same time. But remember the famous say of waiting for the hyena waiting for the hand to fall off. These days the hand don't fall off. It reattaches. So you have to bite it off. Just looking and predicting that so-and-so will be here, will be opposed to so-and-so, and I don't need to do anything. I just need to align and wait. Looks like it's not working. People are more proactive. The hegemons or the actors are more proactive, and it goes to those who are proactive. So if someone had predicted, and let's preempt it, if you predicted that because former president is out there, is probably enemy to person X, and therefore if I align, I'm going to join that already waiting bus, then you find that that is waiting for the hand to fall off. You have to be proactive that go and bite that hand off, negotiate with that hand. So things are not settled. But there is some organization in this madness towards new alliances, expanded alliances. I'm seeing a situation where, for the first time, maybe we can see Rift Valley, Nyanza, Mount Kenya working together. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Was it a bad thing? Was it a bad thing?
No, it will be to redo it. I'm saying it has not been as such for a while, so that when you find those alliances, you find one is either out, right? One is either out, two have, the duet have worked almost against or have defeated. But now having them work together, of course not perfectly, but to a bigger extent or to a larger part of the population, that will be the innovation of this season.
Does that then not assume that because leaders whose leadership is attached to these regions seem to have come to a commonality of understanding, we therefore assume that those who fall into the brigades of people who would follow these leaders, who automatically see the need of working together?
Yeah, I'm making an assumption, and probably, in my view, I don't struggle with that assumption because I think it is the right assumption. There is no leaders without followers.
It is very true.
And there is no followers without leader. Therefore, if you have mentioned the leaders, then usually, from what we have in data, broad data, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Knowledge is data. Our data is showing that they have generally, more or else, followed the leaders. Those that
they have.
Yeah.
You see, why I've taken the trajectory of discussion is the following has to do, again, with another assumption. And the assumption is some benefit will accrue to you, the follower. Your life will change for the better. The misery that has engulfed you will dissipate and things will improve. And we're assuming that the reasons why these leaders have now chosen to bunch together is for our benefit. And it's a pertinent question. Is it really ever for our benefit?
And while at it, as well, there has been a story around all these formations that have been there. Now that all these leaders are coming together, what happens to the story that they coined for them to get to where they are?
The story?
The story behind, there's always a story that appeases your followers. So as they come together and coalesce together, does that change the rhetoric that they've been championing?
We are always working to perfect our union.
Which one?
The Kenya experiment.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that among other factors that bring people together, regional politics bring people together. The assumption that is their benefit accruing, look at it this way, we even if we think individually, we act collectively generally. And that is the Africa contribution to democracy, that we tend to act collectively. Is there benefit? People have compared maybe when there was coalition government with when there was none. And people sometimes allege that there was more prosperity, that there was more concentration on the noise. You see, when a government is threatened, they go to the survival mode. But when they are comfortable, then they can make very hard decisions. And it is in making those hard decisions that economy change. It is in making those hard decisions that really the society can improve.
When you have a political leadership who, if we look at their history, have a commonality, or they have a lot more in common than most people realize. So the rhetoric that they're against each other takes center stage, but it isn't the case. Because if you look carefully, and this one is not even scratching the surface, just casual observation, many of these individuals have some very questionable relationship with state resources. They have done something to it that they shouldn't have done. And when one looks at their wealth, sometimes that wealth is related to this relationship I'm referring to with state resources. Resources that were intended for the citizenry and never really quite gets there. So then this begs the question, is the understanding, as you say, an understanding that has arrived at where the protection mode and the survival mode now kicks in? Not the mode that one would desire, where for once we are now going to do something that will ultimately benefit the citizenry. Because if it's in protection mode, if it's in survival mode, then the likelihood of the conversation of the citizenry taking center stage is null and void.
But this constitution has been tested before. I think the politics is where maybe reality is. We have the ideal in the constitution, and there is the gap, and we must always fight that gap is not big between the ideal we have in the constitution, and this constitution can buy it, and the politics. And therefore, even as they do politics and they politic because they are politician, it is not a blank check. It is a game that is seriously regulated by the constitution, that defines here and there that have set devolution, that defines what goes to the county, that give us the minimum human rights and dignity, and they are well spelled, that elevate our social and economic rights to a level that they must be granted. And therefore, it would have been a sorry state if we are talking in a vacuum, but we are talking of the politician and doing politicking, but I think they're doing it within the context of what we have come to call the transformative 2010 constitution, that have also tampered with some of those powers, have brought in new players, like independent institutions, like commissions, like the judiciary, and therefore it's not a blank check.
So
there's political hygiene to some extent.
When one looks at the activities, not listening to the words of political individuals who have some form of leadership, and when we look at the actions, which in many instances appear to be a constant attempt to twist and turn the constitution to suit their needs.
Right. Yes.
Where's the hygiene?
Let the constitution be tested. The U.S. Constitution even went through civil war. The constitution is a bulwark towards that, because the constitution anticipated. Remember, we didn't come with the constitution in a vacuum. We had seen Moi. We had seen Kenyatta. We had seen the 37 amendments that brought one single party that turned everything and made us worse from the Lancaster Constitution. And therefore, if the Constitution is not strong enough, then that is not a constitution. So the constitution anticipated that, and that is why, remember, at some point, President Kenyatta actually asked the Chief Justice Mutunga, "Are you saying I'm a footnote?" And Justice Mutunga told him, "Then you have understood this constitution." If you fail, like you are almost powerless. Yeah. Because that was the very innovation, that is the engineering that the constitution did. So constitution is not a school project that is graded and it's at discretion. The constitution is actually meant to look at those politics, including the politics of resources distribution.
So you're actually saying that the constitution is not an inanimate object. You're saying that it is alive and well and kicking and running and breathing.
And probably more of that. But of course, I also understand that there is an aspect of charisma as a source of constitution. So that we saw a situation where with the handshake, ministers were reporting to Upper Hill, and you wonder, where is that in the constitution? So yes, there is the reality that even with that constitution, there is the unwritten constitution that is almost equally powerful. And Okoh described charisma as a source of constitution. If I have supporters, many enough, strong enough, then I can pull things my way, and that comes, the usual chorus. How come Baba Prime Minister is in almost every government in a meaningful way? That talks of our reality, that yes, we are always working to perfect our union. And there is the written constitution, and then there is the constitution in the heart and the spirit of the people. That, you know what, just because you won election with 48% does not mean this 54% are going to, by 54%, 52% does not mean the 48% are going to sit on their hands. They must also be actively involved in governance. And therefore you are seeing new terminology which are not just lip service, like the broad-based government, ACA, they're bringing Kenyans together.
ACA handshake.
If that floats your boat, with the terminology given, whatever. It's Christmas. I am not here to mess up your terminology. But
27 minutes to 9. Let's take a break. Our guest this morning is Dr. Duncan Ojuang, a lawyer. He's here. We are talking about the politics of the country, how it's shaping up, how it may even impact politics across the continent. Siti, tell Daktari the next time he's flying how he ought to fly.
Daktari, those of us who are Kenyans are all villagers. Now, people may think that because they've lived in town for a long time, they are not villagers, but we are all villagers. And one of the joys of being a villager is you have a lot to discover, especially when you come to town. And one of those discoveries, when you're traveling, it stops being by bus or by some motorized transport, but you actually fly.
You land.
Yes. Fly, land. Now, the process of flying, for most of us, just speed. Comfort is not something that we think of very much because it's relative comfort. The journey is shorter, so it doesn't really matter. But the process of ensuring that the entire process of leaving your office, your house, boarding the flight, and actually getting there is a series of delightful experiences. You are provided for with a limousine service to the airport. When you board your flight, you are given an array of choices as to what it is that would make your onboarding pleasant. Is it a meal you would like? And what sort of meal would you like? Is it you'd like to rest? Would you like to sleep? Would you like to have a drink? Would you like to watch a movie? Would you like to work? All these are provided for you in utter comfort. If it's sleep, you will sleep and you will lie flat. If it's to eat, my friend, the cuisine is regionally inspired. If it's to drink, it is just about the best drinks you can come across. If it's fruit juice, it will be exactly like what you have there. It's natural, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's tasty. They will even throw in a pajama for you to wear if you want to sleep and give you a duvet. As I keep saying, the pajamas you keep, duvet you leave. Okay? However, if you want to socialize with people 40,000 feet in the air, a lounge experience where you can sit and chat with individuals even as you fly. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Emirates business class. When you land, you'll be rested, you'll be comfortable, but above everything else, you'll likely be happy. Now that is what travel ought to be. Don't you think so?
I agree. Yes. I've experienced Emirates business class once. And whatever you have said is nothing but the truth.
At least you've lived.
Yes. Once, yeah, you lived once, and you are very right.
Time for that break. We'll be back shortly. 23 minutes to 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This holiday season, feast, shop, and jingle all season at Sarit, your city. From November 28th to January 15th, 2025, Sarit transforms into your ultimate festive destination. Immerse yourself in the holiday spirit with breathtaking decor. Bring the kids to meet Santa, the Grinch, and Rudolph from December 1st to 25th, and enjoy live choirs serenading you every weekend until December 22nd. This Christmas, be the light. Join us for Africa's first ever Light the World giving machines, starting November 30th. Donate essentials like farm animals, food, and clothing to spread the joy of giving. Celebrate the season with Sarit. Download the Sarit Loyalty app at visitsarityourcity.com for all the details. Sarit, your city, your festive destination. Experience unmatched spaciousness aboard the Emirates A380, where comfort takes center stage and there's always ample room to stretch, relax, and unwind at 40,000 feet. When you fly Emirates, every journey feels like a first-class escape. Sky-high luxury with Emirates, only on SpiceFM.
The weather with SpiceFM.
And the weather in Nairobi, experiencing highs of 24 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. Kakamega County, highs of 30 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. And in Mombasa City, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Now Nyeri County, highs of 24 degrees and lows of 14 degrees. Nakuru City, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 12 degrees. And in Kilifi County, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Kisumu City, highs of 29 degrees and lows of 20 degrees. And we go to Johannesburg, South Africa, where they're experiencing highs of 30 degrees and lows of 19 degrees. Kinshasa, Congo, DRC, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 22 degrees. And London, highs of 8 degrees and lows of 6 degrees. Pretty cold in London. And in China, highs of 5 degrees and lows of negative 3 degrees. That's your weather.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
Yes, please. At this rate, I'm actually going to be a traffic prophet. Nairobi West, there is traffic building up. I did say it was going to build up. It is now beginning to build up. If we go to the usual suspects, now the usual suspects, according to me, are, let's start with Thika Superhighway. Thika Superhighway is slowly but very, very, very surely building up. The traffic is building up. Whether you're talking about Muthaiga Square, whether you're talking about KCA University, there is traffic. And it's building up, and vehicles following vehicles close by. This is where you now need to drive very, very, very carefully. If we are looking at Jogo Road, yes, it's building up. If you're looking at Mombasa Road traffic going into town is almost at a standstill, really. It's moving really very, very, very slowly. And as I had explained earlier, there's some construction taking place. And so long as that construction has not been completed, we will still have that situation. Southern bypass, eastern bypass, yes, there's a traffic build-up, but it is moving. It is moving, it is moving, it is moving. Around Nairobi West Hospital, you will find that, again, there is a snarl-up. There's a snarl-up because it's a cross-section where vehicles come from all parts of the city and they seem to congregate there. But it is moving. Have a lovely day.
Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Continue our conversation. We are looking at the politics of the country. Dr. Duncan Ojong is our guest this morning. Dr. Ari is saying, we are seeing our politics, but it's still within the controlled confines of the Constitution. Okay. But is it people-centered? Is it for the benefit of the people, really? Or is it for the benefit of those who are playing and those few individuals who are set to benefit? I keep arguing. There are few people who are in the room. And every 5 years, those few people who are in the room keep struggling fighting or battling for who gets control of the remote. So all of them are going to watch TV, but the one who's holding the remote decides which channel they're going to watch. Mm-hmm. But all of them are going to watch the TV. And every 5 years, they're just battling, and it's who gets control of the remote. And what we are seeing now, President Ruto talking to Raila Odinga, talking to Uhuru Kenyatta. Maybe they'll talk to Kalonzo Musyoka at some point. They've had conversations, of course, with Musalia Mudavadi. They're all in the same room. They are discussing how to watch the TV, but are they thinking about those of us who are outside the room? And whether we also would like to see just a bit of TV. Open the window at least to an Equadirisha. Where are the people?
Well, the analogy of sneaking in the village and watching TV in neighbor's yard might not resonate with most of this Gen Z. But be as it may, Article 38 talks of the right to form a political party, to run for office and to vote. That right is given to every Kenyan. Yeah? And that is the premise that we start from. That every Kenyan, of course, albeit some qualification, can run for any office, including president. I saw your very good interview with Omtata here, and to vote. And that requires to move from maybe being victims or bemoaning things to being proactive. If we feel those actors need more additional actors, you get in. And that invitation is given none by the Constitution. Secondly, and that become the reality, that we have a choice to vote, we have a choice to run, we have a choice to even form a political party. And that's a right given by Constitution. But the Constitution also have done something unique, because the Constitution, by requiring 50+1, have forced, and that was the innovation, have forced that there will be coalitions. That before was not there. We could see President Moi winning with 34% or 32%. Basically, when you have a large bloc, you can barely make it, but you can still be the president. And so the Constitution conscientiously force working across regions, that now everyone knows. Isn't it interesting that no one, even the people talking of Mlima, are only talking of it in terms of we are going to find a new coalition. And that idea of coalition and working together has become part of our vocabulary, courtesy of the innovation of the Constitution that raised the threshold of winning the election. And so I don't know to what extent, if someone work and pull more than 50% of voters, I think legally that person will have done something right, whichever way. But I also think that is not a lazy figure. Getting there means you'll have pulled quite a number of actors, quite a number of voters your way. Now, if we work backward then, you realize that with that, we have cured some of the bad behavior where people can vote for someone for no good reason. Now, if more than 50% of the population decide to vote for you for no good reason, then there is a good reason why they are voting for you. So I'm not so much worried about the musical chairs, because I think there is the guarantee that for you to convince a half of voters,
you must talk to others.
You must talk to others. You must work with them, and you must have an agenda.
I agree, and my observation then is that those that have previously thought that they are the only ones who could be in the room, that they are the only ones who could just argue for the TV, are now worried that there are more people at the door, and those people at the door are coming in. And therefore, the battle for the TV will have more actors and players who are big and strong, like Duncan Ojong, physically, right? And so they are coming together and saying, let's try and remove the seats from the table. Let's try and sit on the table on all these chairs so that we can be the only ones who have the chairs available. Let's try and see whether we can shorten the length of the song. So by the time the musical chair songs ends, we already know at what point we are stopping. Trying to play that game. What we are seeing is panic. Panic by the status quo. That the status quo can smell. The Lilian Vorinini.
Yes. But why can't the non-status quo act? You see,
the non-status quo are acting, and that is why the status quo is panicking, because they can see that the Lilian Voa.
You know, that's why I was giving you the analogy that waiting for the hand to fall never work in this century. The hyena must be more proactive.
In which century did it work in?
Maybe it kept our ancestors busy.
It's a figure of speech.
Right. Yes. But you know,
it has worked before.
It probably
I'm
did.
agreeing with everything you're saying.
Otherwise,
today,
why? Right.
It has worked before.
That's why it became a wise saying.
That previously, those who have been in the room have known that those outside are only waiting for the hand to fall. But we know we are not going to drop this hand. We will keep, throwing the hand. We will keep dangling the hand, and all we're doing is just passing it amongst ourselves. All right?
And therefore,
now they are seeing that the guys outside are coming for the hand.
Right.
And they are coming together. They will meet. They will meet in Karen, in Gatondo. They will meet in, say, Kuru. They will meet in West. They will meet. But sure, it's because they are seeing there's an emerging force. And this force is coming for the hand.
That there is a threat.
Yes.
Yeah, which is okay. But you see, that always come from a perspective of subservient. We did that even when we were doing the analysis of race, relation, and discrimination. We found ourselves going to South Africa almost every year asking, how are white people treating us? And we said, we don't want this. We cannot be meeting here every year, bemoaning and discussing how we are treated as minority races in the world. Or what is, because as long as the treating is them, we are very helpless, and all we can do is describe how they are treating us. Oh my goodness, those are bad incidents. And so we say, no, let us either be proactive, we either also treat them badly, or we stop this. Now, that aspect of there are people in the room, and all we discuss is, how are they treating us? It's not born by the Article 38 that say that we should be bold enough to start parties, to vote, and to even run. But even beyond that, it means there's something they're doing right. And it means that we also have some limitation that we have recognized. And therefore, consider it this way. The amount of selective hate that was poured towards Raila when he said he wanted dialogue. This is a 70-year-old, 75, who have run, who have done his best, who have decided that this is the direction I want. And the amount of the keyboard warriors and the ability and the goosebumps to be offended on their own skin. How dare you? It shows us that we have less leaders and more followers. And that is the reality in the world, that very few people will say, I want to do this. Most people will want to follow. So yes, as a follower, you can be offended, but I don't see more people rising. And that's why I was saying, those who thought that maybe the window will be, things are so bad, people are so annoyed, that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who runs. I will get this in silver platter. Probably need to go back to the drawing board and discover that in reality, that might not be what propels you to power. You must be more proactive and do a little more, so that you cannot run it as a civil society project. You have to convince real people in the villages with real interest. You must talk to that fisherman why you think you can serve his interest better than Raila, who probably understand fishing. You must do a little more than simply do exchange papers here and there. And that is not easy.
You know, Doc, there's a Russian writer, classical Russian literature called Leo Tolstoy. Something he said, and I want to read it. Because it in my mind, it encapsulates what you've said and then some. I sit on a man's back, choking him and making him carry me, and yet assure myself and others that I am very sorry for him and wish to ease his lot by all possible means, except getting off his back.
Yeah. After 40, I cannot live my life on bumper stickers.
Yes.
And sloganeering.
Yes.
I have to be practical. I have to be that person on people's back, if that is what it means. I cannot be the person reading on, when will you get off my back? If you read the pedagogy of the oppressed, there is no slave without master. And
there's no master without a slave.
Without master, without a slave. But when you read even Booker T. Washington account on when the Supreme Court proclaimed that slavery is illegal in the U.S.
Abolished.
Abolished. That night, as a young man, the slaves did not sleep. Do you know what they were doing? Discussing whether to accept to be free or continue in slavery. And they debated whether they want to be free or not until 4 a.m. They went to the master and said, Master, us, we still want to be your slaves. So, this constitution has emancipated people. People are emancipated, and we must do more than changing slogans and bumper sticker to actual action. But I don't see it. All I see is people are angry. So what?
Dr. Emancipation is not a constant. Okay. It is something that has to be continuously sought after.
Oh, true.
Because if it was, at independence, everything should have changed. It didn't.
Yeah.
2010, the promulgation of a new constitution, everything should have changed. It didn't. In fact, every time we make a move that is fundamental and seismic in terms of its effects, actually the hard work, the heavy lifting has actually just begun. The period of ease hasn't begun. It's the heavy lifting. Yes. Now,
you are very right.
When I look at the musical chairs that are being played, it speaks to me and it tells me that those who have held positions of authority and who have been in that position that we refer to as political leadership may not be in touch with the reality of our times. Because if your answer to the problems of the nation is musical chairs, and Eric put it beautifully and eloquently, if it's just changing the chair so the few of you can decide who has what's that joystick? Yes, it's called a remote. Okay? Then you haven't actually understood what is happening. And it is lamentable because it means that even when you spoke and said the things that you wanted to do for the citizenry, not only did you not have any intention, you probably had no clue what it is you're talking about. Because if you had, then you would understand that the moment that is upon us is not one for, again to use the term, sloganeering. It's not for doing the things you've done before to get to what you want. No, this is a time for change. And either you take the step to make the changes possible, in which case you may actually achieve what you want, or that change will overwhelm you. There isn't much of a choice here. And that window keeps closing with every passing day.
Yeah. But with that reality, we also have to collect ourselves together and face a more external threat, which is that the power play is bigger. The powerful still determine whether directly or indirectly, those big countries, the rules. And therefore, if we consume ourselves, so we must have two conversations. We must have that internal conversation, but we must also have the external conversation where there's real threat. And you know, when I look at the opportunity in Africa, that Africa only receives 0.7% of the U.S. foreign aid. When I look at the trade and the amount of money in Africa, it is possible that I can say one thing, but in reality, the COVID effect is still being experienced up to now. Remember all those stimulus we did in COVID and talked about? The effect, tragedy have a long, enduring and lingering effect. The COVID effect is being seen. The war in Ukraine effect is being seen. And therefore, to what extent that could you be exact in a moving target, in a world that there is more danger and it is polarized and there is a lot of threat, so that your promises could be exact or approximated, because there is other reality that are not in your hands. For example, the COVID effect in the US forced the US dollar to go in Kenya up to what, 170s?
Yeah.
Because the US, after recovering the COVID, they started stabilizing their dollar. That is not anticipated. You thought with a dollar of 100 or 110. Now it is 170. Those are effects that are beyond you. But maybe you still should do a better job explaining. But that's the reality. The dollar was 170 thanks to the COVID.
You know, having you here, Dr. Ari, perhaps points to the problem that we actually have, and a really endearing one.
How can I be the solution and the problem also?
No. Having you here as an example is what I should have said. And why I say this is because, you see, the knowledge base that Kenyans have is envied by many other people, But putting it to use so that it actually does what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
That is a constant gap.
The winds of change are here, Daktari. People are no longer complaining and saying, you know, let's go to South Africa and ask ourselves, how are we being treated by the whites? They have had that conversation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And the white man is now meeting all over and trying to cover a space for each other and do a cabinet slot here and a cabinet slot there. Because the black man has woken up. Pass on the message. Thank you very much, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, for joining us for this conversation. Keep it here for more. Remember, as we keep saying, it's about how we hold conversations that keep driving the nation forward. 9 a.m., time for the news. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. President William Ruto's economic advisor Moses Kuria has issued a personal statement that has made him to remain among the top trending topics on X. In the statement, Kuria called on President William Ruto, his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to initiate another constitutional review process, a remark that is expected to continue sparking mixed reactions. Kuria lauded the latest move by Ruto and his former boss to bury the hatchet and agree to consult on ways to address the current problems bedeviling the country, including political animosity. He also opined that the three leaders can pick up from where the Building Bridges initiative, that is BBI, failed. Women leaders and human rights activists have urged the Trans Nzoia County Assembly to set aside a special fund and pass a bill to address gender-based violence. During a press conference after presenting a motion to the Assembly, the Police Department, the Commissioner's Office and the County Executive, the chairperson of the Women Leaders, Shamala Immaculate, urged ward representatives to pass the law and budget before June next year.
Tumekuja County Assembly penye wanatengeneza sheria, penye bajeti hutengenezwa kwa unyenyekevu, kuwapa memorandum yetu. Trans Nzoia haina bajeti ya masuala ya dhulma za kijinsia, na tumeweka pia timelines. Kama ni kupitisha sheria 2025 by at least May tuwe na sheria ya gender based violence. Pia the budget yenye inakuja kindly through public participation, but have it also that there is timeline that we need, pia budget ya gender based violence. Tatu, tumesema tuwe na docket ya civic education na tumepeana pia timelines ya 2025.
Receiving the motion, the Assembly's lawyer Lucy Keboni said the motion would be forwarded to the leadership of the Assembly to be scheduled for discussion when the Assembly resumes its sessions next year.
In the next budget, I know there are some departments that have put specific budget for civic education where they intend to do sensitization kila ward. So that will be rolled out in the next financial year, and I believe it will come a long way in handling some of these issues. As an assembly, we will do the best that we can to ensure that we'll present the memoranda to the relevant offices, and when it will be dealt with in committees, you will be called to take the committees through what is being taken through, and then the outcome will be communicated to you. For now, our members are on recess up to February, so when Bunge will resume, we will commit it to the House, and then the processes will take over.
The High Court has suspended President William Ruto's directive requiring government entities to compulsory onboard the e-Citizen Services platform. Justice Bahati Mwamuye at the same time blocked the removal of heads of the government entities based on the grounds of failure to operationalize Ruto's directive. The judge directed Kituo cha Sheria to serve the application on the AGCS Treasury and PS Immigration, who have been listed as respondents in the case. The same is to be done by by Friday, 5 p.m. Parties will highlight their submissions on January 31st next year. On November 23rd, Ruto issued a directive compelling the chief executive officers of various institutions to onboard to the platform within 1 week. Officers from the DCI have arrested 6 employees of Sony Sugar Company implicated in the theft of sugar weighing 7.55 tons in April this year. Sony Sugar Company Managing Director Martin Dimmer confirmed that the employees have been arrested and are set for interrogation, as 2 other top officers at the sales department are still being pursued by the police. Dimmer said the loss of the aforementioned amount of sugar from the company was realized during an audit process before he joined the company as MD. And finally, several graft cases have been in court this week for mention, hearings and judgment in a case involving Sami Kipngetich Kirui and 14 others will today be brought up for mention, according to a statement issued by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. They are charged with conspiracy to commit an offence of corruption. Allegations relate to irregular purchase of land of registration number LR number 14759/2 Machakos for cemetery use by the City Council of Nairobi. The case will be mentioned at Milimani Anti-Corruption Court. That's the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The traffic in Nairobi is getting busy by the moment. If you look at Mombasa Road, especially around Capital Center next to the Next Gen Mall, it is bumper to bumper as you head towards the CBD and as you get towards the National Museum of Kenya as well. It is busy, it is packed. And if we go towards Thika Road, that is around Muthaiga Square, KCA University, it is getting busy by the moment, especially along Kiambu Road as well. It is busy. Now, if you look at Jogoo Road as well, getting towards town, it's getting busy by the moment towards the roundabout, that is Jogoo Road, Landis Road roundabout. It is busy by the moment towards a railway bus stop. It is busy by the moment, but the southern bypass as well, you can see a little bit of movement here and there. It is busy in some sections. Just be careful around that. But along Mombasa Road is where the problem is due to the construction that is ongoing there. If you're using the road, be careful and keep safe.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 minutes after 9, we are on to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Wednesday. Like we're saying, today is closing day for very many organizations because after December 12th, many do not resume work, right?
Yes.
They just go. After Jamhuri, tuanaye next year. If someone owes you money, come at that office today.
Tarehe 9 Januari.
Come in that office today because if they don't pay you today,
February.
Kuja February next year.
January they'll tell you bwana hata
January
unajua vile January itakuwa.
Tulikuwa tumefunga tujauza kitu.
Watoto wanarudi shule.
So if they owe you, today is the day, my friend, because after today they close. It's closing day for Kenya in 2024. Our next conversation is going to look at someone's life story. You know, we have had several conversations looking at people who have told their stories or whose stories have been told and captured in form of a book. And it's always interesting looking back and seeing. So this is somebody telling their story. This is somebody telling us what makes them who they are, the influences that they've had in life, the kind of experiences that they've had and how they're influencing others in life. Today is another one, and his name is Dr. Juma Mukhwana, My Passion for Change. Dr. Juma Mukhwana is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Industry in that ministry called MITI. MITI is what?
MITI.
The Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry.
MITI. That was a nice ambush.
It's called the MITI. Daktari, good morning.
Thank you. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Interesting book, interesting read. We're going to talk about it. Your journey in life up to where this point where you are, top in the civil service as a principal secretary, and what that means. But CT will welcome you with the day's proverb. And before he does that, he's going to tell you something about today's closing day. Tunafunga na wewe. CT, funga na PS.
One of the things that the PS understands well is a subject that is dear to the heart of many Kenyans. It's called agriculture. He understands it really well. And it's because of that scientific process that we have all these wonderful things that we consume. Now, one of the things that is perhaps considered difficult to do is to actually drink something which you should be eating. But Del Monte have actually performed that particular miracle. Fruits are fruits and they grow. On trees, on shrubbery, on bushes, but they grow. And people chew them. Del Monte has taken the fruit, not out of the fruit, but has made the fruit a substance that is in liquid form. Now, that liquid form is what we want to give to you. Now, I want to ask you a simple question. Of the variety that Del Monte quality products offers, which do you like the best? And which do you like second best and the third best?
At least I love the passion.
You like the passion?
Because you can see it's part of my my story.
And what else do you like?
Passion, mango, yes.
Very good.
Yes. And if you have apple, I don't mind.
I am going to do you one better. I am going to give you something that will titillate your palate, something that will give you health benefits for your heart, for your liver, and for all manner of things. And that's what I will start with.
Oh, wow.
Tomato.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, Muga, you are a doctor. Now this is your prescription.
That is my prescription for you. And then I'm going to now titillate your taste buds with something called peach.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then I'll do you one better. You mentioned mango.
Mango.
This is mango for
wow.
you.
Wow.
Yes.
I think this is really a true way to close the year. I think hii ni ngumu umenipiga ya kufunga mwaka.
Kufunga na wewe.
Umefunga na mimi.
I bring you greetings, Daktari, from the KCB Foundation.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure you've dealt with them many times as a PS for industry.
Yes.
There's a program that they started in 2016 called the KCB to Geopolitical program. And the KCB to Geopolitical program is where they said, how do we contribute to the problem of unemployment in the country? We have very many youth, out-of-school youth, whether they dropped out of school or they went through high school but they did not get a skill. But how do we support them? And so they partnered with TVETs and counties and said, let's see if we can support youth, sponsor them through a TVET, go get skilled, upskilled, so you go and learn a trade. And as you're doing that, we also bring in our team because we are financial experts. We bring in our team to also give them financial literacy. So what is it about money? How do you run a business? How do you do your bookkeeping? How do you manage between debt and revenues and making sure that you can sustain the business to grow? And so with that, at the end of the course, the graduate is then coming out skilled, but they also go one step further. They support them at that point and tell them, so we can help you start up.
That's great.
And we can also give you access to the loan. So that's the point when the KCB Foundation has trained them, given them the skill, given them the know-how and the knowledge, and then the KCB Bank comes in and says, because we know you, we have supported you, and we know where you're coming from, we can extend credit for you to start your small business at preferable rates. Preferential rates are below 10%.
Wow. I know the rest of Kenyans where our loans are.
Imagine.
No,
and because they're walking
and that
the
is an
journey
important
with you.
aspect, because you see, when you look at Kenya, we have young, innovative, energetic, and sometimes what they're lacking is just the courage or somebody to hold their hand to cross this river. From being a student, from being a villager to an entrepreneur. So that's a great effort.
Yep.
I really laud them for that.
Yep. They have benefited many. Thousands have graduated, thousands of small businesses have started, and they are thriving.
That's good.
We'll talk more about it shortly. Siti, patia daktari the proverb for the day.
Yes, proverbs for the whole of this week are from the kingdom of Lesotho. Houses built close together burn together.
Houses built close together burn together. P.S. What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I guess that if we are very close in our ideologies and in our thinking and in the way we do things, then it's like our fate is sealed. Our end result will be similar. So it's like more like birds that flock together. Also thrive together.
Birds of a feather flock together.
And thrive together.
And thrive together.
So our fate is really the same. Yeah.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing? In this particular case,
yes,
the people of Lesotho were bringing in fire and showing destruction.
Fire is not necessarily bad. Sometimes it creates renewal. That's how if you look at our ancestors, when we wanted to plant a new crop, we burned so that we could get new life. So yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
My Passion for Change. This is your autobiography, which is just out. We've had people here who've come after a long career in whatever field. They've decided, you know what, I want to tell my story because I want to own my story. And they tell it at many times at certain ages, right? Why did you decide to write your story and tell your story?
Yes, because when I look at where I've come from and where I've reached, achievement is not about age. It's really when I see the gap between where I started my life, and I'm sure you've read it, in the village in Rwanda, playing the makeshift football with my age mates, and where I have reached on a global stage, really. I think that I have a story to tell, and so I'm just eager. I can't wait to tell it. Yeah, because a villager from a small place in Rwanda all the way back to the University of Nairobi, to the US, and working in different fields in education, in agriculture, and now in industry. And in that process, I have learned quite a bit. And part of why I thought this story is important is then sometimes as we travel along the journey of life, we pick many ideas, and we also pick many lessons. And sometimes it's good to share. So I just felt, so writing is not about your age. It's about, do you have something profound, something touching, something transformative that you really want to share? And in my case, I thought so, and that's why I really decided to do this.
To tell your story.
Yes, to tell my story, and I wanted to tell it myself.
Very good.
Because quite often we also leave it for other people to tell for us.
And you never know what they'll say about you.
Yes.
Daktari, you right now are a PS, okay?
Yes.
And many people have interacted with you now from that level, from principal secretary in government. But there are others who've interacted with you in other areas. Starting from the present, just summarize your journey. Who is Juma Mukwana?
Yes, born in Bungoma in the mid-60s. Brought up in the village, running around, looking after our sheep, our cattle. I had a very rich and interesting background because my grandfather, the late, of course, Opicho Wenganga, I'll describe him as a man who lived ahead of himself. He had his wealth counted in animals. He didn't have a bank account. But he was eager and enthusiastic to pick up the ideas that the white man was bringing. Then comes in my father, and clearly he also lived ahead of himself. I've already described him briefly when I was here. This is a man who, when everybody was keeping traditional cattle, he thought he needed to keep the cattle of the white person. And so he had dairy cows. He had a motorbike, a 250cc BSA of his own. When the neighbors, the way I see them, they looked at him, they saw a strange man that was really not part of us. But he also had very difficult principles because he believed that as children, you have to earn what you ate. You have to perform well, you have to be disciplined, you have to work hard because the real reward of life, in his own words, lived in working, hard work. And he did not mince his words about it. He was a control freak. He was somebody that was always smartly dressed. And what was interesting is he also imposed those standards to his friends and his relatives. So if you wanted him to visit you, to eat in your house, you had to keep a level of hygiene that was acceptable to him. And if he thought that you are not doing it, he did not gossip about it. He told you on your face, he told you you're a dirty man, and I will not deal with you. Yeah. So therein emerges me. So when I look at that environment, there was quite a bit to learn, that a man has to work for what they eat, that if you really want to make it in life, you have to work hard, you have to be disciplined, you have to have a goal, you have to be focused, you have to have a clarity of mind where you really want to go, but also you should dream bigger. So you should not limit yourself. And I think within that environment where I was brought up, I was taught to think, I was taught to dream beyond what I can see. And I think one thing that I can say about today is that dreaming has taken me through many mountains, through many valleys. I have traveled a short road, but it has been quite, I would say, something that I can say has been profound. And at the end of that tunnel, at the end of that road, those valleys and sharp corners, has emerged somebody that is really different. It's like going through the hottest furnace. If you put iron and you are able to produce steel, so you come out and you look at the world and you feel like, yes, I have gone to the world. If you read my book, I said I thought that I was going to change the world, but then in my travel and in my experience, the world has changed me, because at every corner, every episode, I learned something different, and it informed me, it changed my thinking. So in the end, my question then was, how do I use this experience to impact, especially the young people? Yes, because I sit with young people and they think they have a lot of problems, and they think they have more problems than those of us who are born earlier had. I really don't think so. That if I look at my life, I see a situation where young people think that they have a lot of problems and somebody is responsible for those problems, and especially these old people in the room. But when I look at my journey and my story, when I finished the University of Nairobi in 1991, the World Bank had already asked this government, the government, to stop employing veterinarians. So they said animals are a private property. So why is government hiring people to take care of animals?
Of private property.
Yes, of private property. So if somebody needs veterinary services, they should look for a private vet. So I've come out of the university, and the first thing, of course, that previously every group that finished my previous classes, people got employment jobs before they sat for the final exam. So some people, even who had supplementaries, first of all reported, if you are a district veterinary officer in Taita, you reported, then you came back to sit for supplementary exams. When I was finishing, I was told there is no job. And right there, you had to think of this is the situation you are in. It is your situation. How do you deal with it? And so who I am is that I don't like using the word self-made, but I think that the inner part of me has been that the word impossible doesn't exist, and the word failure doesn't exist. So when I'm presented with a situation, the best I do is to say, what can I do to thrive, to achieve my goals, even if there are obstacles. And so part of the skills that I've picked along the way is that really failure is in our mind. Failure is never in the environment. So as you look at this environment, and as you think that it's a very difficult environment, and as you blame others and you blame yourself, and you think it can't work, in that same environment, there are people who are doing extremely well, even people who are younger than you. If you just look wider and look more keenly, and decide that you will play your role, you will use your skills in a way that benefits you and also benefits society. So in the end, I think that I am that person that is. The book describes. I have a very persistent spirit, very passionate, and failure has never been part of my story. And so in every situation, whether it's politics, whether it's work, I pick the lesson and it makes me stronger.
It moves into something else.
It takes me into the next level, and that's how it works for me. And so in the end, you are better prepared, you have better shock absorbers, you have clarity of mind on what your next action is.
Let's look at that story. You studied veterinary medicine as your first degree at the university.
Yes.
What drove you to do vet?
Yes, had been, as I said, my father lived ahead of himself. So he, in the 70s, we just got an independence. He decides to go to the AFC. He takes a loan of 10,000 shillings, 10,000, and he wants to buy dairy cows, Ashas and Frishas that were not even available here. These cows had to be more or less flown in from the UK. And you can imagine one cow was 1,000 or thereabout, including all the shipping and everything. So eventually these cows are delivered to his village in Luanda. He has smartly fenced his farm. He has paddocked it. But he's not, in my now reflecting on it, he's not really ready for them. My mother has no idea what these animals are and how to look after them. And so we are all grappling with what is happening. But we have a very interesting disease, which had not been described even at that time. It's something called the East Coast fever that was caused by ticks. So the cows would get sick. Interestingly, this East Coast fever does not actually affect our traditional animals. So the cebus are resistant to it.
No, they're fine.
They are fine with it. They can carry as many ticks as you want, and they will still give you milk. But these new fellas, one tick and they're trembling. And what was even more interesting was that at that time there was no cure for that disease. So if a cow got that disease, it died. So we have here. You have a situation very nicely. New cows. Your neighbors are admiring you. They are different. They are bigger. They are smarter. They are. You can call them beautiful. They are giving you 10, almost 20 times more milk than what everybody else is getting. But then two problems arise. One is, who is going to buy the milk? I don't think.
People want the milk.
Yes,
but can they afford to buy
they
it?
can't afford it.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you have this milk that nobody can afford to buy. Yeah. So you have more milk than you need. That was the first problem that I see my father going through. And the next issue is that these cows get sick. And remember this time, we did not even have, we were part of the larger, there was no Bungoma district, there's no Busia district. We were part of like Kakamega district, actually North Kavirondo. So the only Muzungu veterinarian was sitting in Kakamega. So when the cows get sick, it took us 1 or 2 days to reach the veterinarian to tell him that this cow is sick. Then because of other logistics, it would take another 2 days to arrive. And quite often, he arrived after the cow had died. So one by one, and because of so every time they died, my mothers, because we had several of them, would cry. They really cried. And as I looked at my mother crying, I thought, could I be of any use to in this situation? So in one of these days, I tell my mother, Mommy, don't cry. When I grow up, I want to be a veterinarian. This guy that comes here when the cows are dead, I will be here when the cows are sick. I will treat them from here because I've looked at what he does and I think it is something I can do. But fast forward, I joined in. So it was very clear.
Pause there a little bit.
Yes.
As the villagers in your homestead are looking at these dying cows, knowing that they are the only cows and everybody else has just been looking and envying them, what is the superstition going around? Because first of all, you don't know the name of this disease. It has no cure and all those things.
Yes, there was quite a lot of mixture in terms of what is the cause of the disease. So you are looking at your neighbors, the same ones who cannot afford to buy the milk and wondering whether they could be in some way involved in the death of these animals. And I think when I look back now, many years later, I don't think that the story of my father is any different from many of the farmers that we have even today. So many would want to try new ideas. Our agricultural researchers come to us and tell us we have a new technology, we have new tomatoes, we have new mangoes, and they can change your life. But the story is never complete. Adoption of an agricultural technology does not always give you success because you have to think through the whole process. After I grow this new mango species that will give me more mangoes, where will I sell it? Who will buy it? At what price? And what is my price for growing this? So if you don't know how much you will sell the mango, what is your production cost? And all that then, so part of, and of course I've described this before, that much later on when I looked at, in my area we grow a lot of maize and beans. At some point I was able to sit down with the farmers and ask them, how much does it cost you to grow one bag of maize? And I was surprised that the farmers have never thought about it. They say, why would you ask that? I say, yes, I mean, if you don't know how much it costs you to produce a bag, how do you determine the price? Then they tell me, no, but you see the price is not determined by us. It's determined by somebody else. So it doesn't matter whether I know the production cost or not. At that point, when I want to sell my bag, I'll just sell my bag of maize. And I will sell for different reasons, not because I want to make money. And so you see that is the kind of agriculture that we have created. So you have people producing, they don't know how much it has cost them. And so in the end, and I remember I had a bit of trouble when I was working with an NGO, that our analysis showed that every time the farmers engaged in the business of producing maize, they were losing money. In other words, agriculture was causing them more poverty. So while the extensionist is saying grow more so that you can improve your wealth, the data was showing that nearly 56% of the people that involved themselves in production were getting less than what they were investing. So the message then was that the more you engaged in agriculture, the poorer you became. Because every year you are spending more fertilizer and more seed and more energy and more work, and you're getting less than what and one, you don't know about it. Two, the person who is supposed to be giving you extension also has no idea that you're actually becoming poorer engaging into this exercise. So why would we engage ourselves in an exercise that is not bringing you prosperity, but rather bringing you problems? And that is exactly when I put my father's story, I think that's how it looked like.
It reflects in everything.
Yeah.
And Daktari, in your book you talk about 1992, which is a very important year for you, which is your first flight with Dr. Crisfield and flying above Southall and Marsabit, and finally asking you if you wanted to work there. And Dr. Field was not ready for you to work there because he was actually not thinking that you would actually surmount the challenges that were down there. But you being you and being young and in your element, you were ready for what was coming. Just take us through that moment.
Yes, so I finished my veterinary course at the University of Nairobi. I had met, as I've described, Dr. Chris Field was an NGO worker, but he used to come to teach us something very, very specific, something he taught us about camels. One thing that was very curious about our course is, so that I come to answer your question, was that when you are going through the university, you are being taught how to produce dairy cows, Asha, Frisia. So you are told the breeds for milk are this. Your chicken, their layers and the broilers. Your pigs this is the breed. It came from England. This one came from US. One thing that stands out very, very interestingly out of that story is when by the time you finish your 4 years, you have been taught about animals
you don't have
that we don't have
that you haven't seen.
And we have completely ignored the cows that my father, that my grandfather is keeping, the local chicken that are running around, and even the camels. And so, and you see, the idea behind the camels was that there was an NGO that was trying to help camel productivity, because camels are very well adapted to these arid and semi-arid areas. So somehow this NGO had pushed the university to accept the fact that, okay, we can always come and teach for free about camels because we think camels can change the lives of pastoralists. And so I finished my veterinary course. The Farm Africa is looking for a veterinarian. Interestingly, when I went to Samburu to work, then I discovered that there was no single person that had graduated with a veterinary course, even a diploma, in the whole current county of Samburu. So the NGO is looking for a veterinarian, and there's no local person. So the whole county did not have a veterinarian. Marsabit County did not have a veterinarian. So they are looking for a veterinarian. The only veterinarian they can get is somebody who has a different problem. He has the veterinary knowledge, but he doesn't have the know-how, the experience doesn't come from this place. And in my estimation, being a veterinarian was the smallest part. What you needed to work in Samburu and Marsabit was a different gear. This is an area where there is no water, there is no house.
There's no water readily available.
Yes, the water, the way I know it, where I came from. There was water for a different purpose, because I find that where people go to water their animals, they also drink the water with the animals. And I'm looking at that water and I'm like, is this really?
You've never seen anything.
I've never seen anything like that. That I come to water the animals and I'm also watering myself. And if you want to bathe, which was a very rare.
Get inside.
No. And if you ask me, and I'm not demeaning anyone, I work with pastoralists. I do not remember seeing many of them engaging in this exercise that you do every day called bathing.
Water is scarce.
Because water is scarce. And if you wanted to bathe, then you bathe the same water where the animals, and this is very, very, in my view, dirty water. So I find myself in a very interesting, and then also, how do you provide a service to a people that are on the move? So this NGO has created a system where if there is a manyata in this village, we set up a tent, and then we provide the service. And the service, it was needed because an average person has 400 cattle, has 300 cattle, but they have no access to treatment, to deworming, extension, and so on. They are in the same problem that I described about my father and the veterinarian. And so they need a veterinarian. But then when the grass in this area is finished, they have to move. And so the NGO had designed it that when they moved, we also move. And so that's why we had something called mobile outreach camp. So I find myself in this situation, and honestly speaking, I think in that environment, I learned more than I taught. I don't think I had anything much to teach a Samburu about cattle and how to do them. But then, for me, it was a really humbling experience that a person born in Western Kenya, now the place is quite hot. On an average day, you will talk about 40 degrees, 39 degrees. So you really can't afford to put on the way Muga is putting on here. And so you have your sugar, you have your spear. For most people leaving the university, that is not your dream job.
No.
Because for most of us, you're dreaming of a good office, a good car. So you find yourself in a situation where you are moving with the community from one village to another, providing a service in a language where you cannot even understand. Because I didn't understand the Samburu language, so somebody had to interpret it to me. But I had to learn very quickly. And up to today, I still understand the Samburu language. So if I can count Uni, Are, Ungwan, Imet, I've counted up to 5 from 1. That is 30 years ago. But I had to learn the language. I had to know that Ngare is water. So I had to learn the language, because now you are not just a veterinarian to treat the animals, but you have to fit in. You have to understand the culture. There is a context. So you're not just going to come with a syringe and a needle, but there is a context that you really must do more to be. So you have to change yourself. Instead of changing the people, instead of being the Messiah, you really have to
come and fit
in. The job is for you to fit in, to change yourself, to make yourself different, to make yourself ready to offer service. And I don't think that many of us would want to do that. If you got a job that has to change you 360 degrees before you become useful in that job, for many of us would quit. You say, well, I mean, why should I change myself? Am I the one changing you, or are you the one changing me? So in the end, I found that for me to actually provide a service, to function as a veterinarian, I needed a 360-degree change of myself. The way I thought about life, the way I thought about animals, and so on. And so that for me was quite profound.
A game changer. Let's take a break, 19 minutes to 10. We're discussing a new book by Jim Mukhwana, the Principal Secretary for Industry, My Passion for Change. It's an autobiography. He's telling us his story and the lessons that he's learned through life. We've gone to his upbringing, his first job, and so on and so forth. We shall continue this conversation shortly. Siti, you'll tell him about flying business with Emirates. But before that, let me tell you again about the KCB to Jiajiri program by the KCB Foundation. How does it work? In 3 ways. One, they identify youth 18 to 34 years in technical training institutions in those TVETs, equipping them with technical skills or upskilling them to attain the NITA certification. Of course, PS, you know the NITA certification. This is right down your alley. Then the next thing is the program incubates the enterprises created by these students by offering business development services. Here they get one-on-one mentorship on how to register a business, how to create business development plans, how to do proposals, how to do your marketing, your bookkeeping, your legal, your advertising, and everything. And then third, this is where now the KCB Foundation exits and the KCB Bank comes in. And they graduate, they receive credit that they qualify for to advance their business ideas and interests. So it's a whole complete journey that moves someone from a level where they thought they dropped out of school, or I didn't go to school, or something happened and I don't have a skill, I don't have a job, to a level where they're here and they have skill and they even have access to capital to start and run a business. Big game changer. kcbgroup.com/foundation. You can get more information there. City?
Yes.
Flyers to 140 destinations from JKI.
Exactly. You know, there's driving, then there's rally driving. Okay? There's transportation, and then there are limousines. There is flying, and then there's Emirates. I mean, if your goal is to simply move from point A to B, and time isn't of essence, you can always walk. But if you want to leave Kenya and go to the 140 destinations that Emirates offers you, you need to seriously sit and think and consider the best way of moving from that point A to the point B that you're going to, not just in comfort, but in a completely wholesome and revolutionary way. What do I mean? From the time you plan your journey, you will be transported to the airport in a limousine. Let me repeat, limousine. Okay, not just some transport of delight. When you board the flight, you will have an array of choices of what to eat, what to drink, whether to sit upright, whether to recline, or whether to sleep. If you want to work, Wi-Fi galore. If you want to be entertained by watching movies, if you want to get together with friends, a lounge 40,000 feet in the air. But let me just talk about the sleeping. This is not just shutting your eyes. No. Shutting the eye is made possible because you'll be given a pajama. And that particular seat will stretch fully. So you will be stretched out. You'll be given a duvet. So you can actually sleep. If you like snoring like me, you will even snore in the process.
You like snoring?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That's what I've been told.
We shall investigate that. Put in a commission of inquiry.
Kabisa. Essentially, you're talking about the outer limits of flying. And flying in comfort, flying in convenience, landing in that same comfort and getting to your destination again in comfort and convenience.
Very good.
That is Emirates business class.
It's 9:45. Let's take this break, take a look at the weather and traffic. We'll be back shortly.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Instagram at SpiceFM KE. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. The Situation Room. The only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
Nairobi is highs of 24 degrees and lows of 15 degrees. In Kakamega County, highs of 30 degrees and lows of 16 degrees. And in Mombasa, we have highs of 32 degrees and lows of 25 degrees. Pretty high in Mombasa there. And in Nyeri County, highs of 25 degrees and lows of 14 degrees. Nakuru City, highs of 26 degrees and lows of 12 degrees. And across borders to Kinshasa, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 22 degrees. And in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, highs of 31 degrees and lows of 26 degrees. And in Paris, France, that is highs of 6 degrees and lows of 4 degrees. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, highs of 22 degrees and lows of 8 degrees. That is your weather.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life.
Everything I mentioned about traffic is now with us. And all the roads that I mentioned has traffic. The traffic on Mombasa Road is honestly going into town is almost at a standstill. It's almost at a standstill. The movement is minimal. Yet, if you're moving towards Mombasa, the traffic is flowing easily. If you look at Thika Road now, Thika Road is definitely now getting sufficiently clogged up. If you're talking about the Muthaiga Square, you're talking about the Pangani area, it is bumper to bumper traffic. If you are talking about getting into the southern bypass, eastern bypass, well, there's traffic there. And it's flowing, but there's traffic. When it gets to a cross section that already has a lot of traffic, then you will find you'll be slowing down. If you talk about Jogo Road, there's traffic, you need to be careful. You're talking about Landis Road, you need to be careful. You talk about Wayaki Way, you need to be careful. What am I saying? I'm saying drive carefully. Today is a day before a public holiday, and people want to do everything that they possibly can and which they should have done from Monday. Drive carefully. The other road users, be conscientious, and please be safe.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
At 12 minutes to 10, our conversation continues with Dr. Juma Muhwana, the Principal Secretary for Industry, about his book, My Passion for Change, detailing and chronicling your journey through this, working out of university and just meeting the World Bank conditionalities that we now say that, you know what, we're not giving you free money like this. You, government, you have to stop doing things that people watch watu wajisort. And you're trained as a vet doctor, and the government is no longer now employing extension service workers, whether in vet or in agriculture or in health. And you went now to work in NGO, worked in Samburu. How did you move out of Samburu? How did you advance your education? How did you end up in America?
Thank you. Yes, and so after a few years in Samburu, I do another daring thing. I decided I'm venturing into business. So I had a few sheep and goats that I had acquired in the course of my life in Samburu. Quite substantial, because I had nearly 300 goats of my own and about 80 or so cattle, so I sell them. And my idea tells me then that I start an agrovet. And to remember Samburu, then I call it nomadic veterinary services. The initial idea was to do this out in Samburu. Then I looked around, and it ended up in Bungoma. But now I touched another raw nerve. So I end up in Bungoma. I'm looking for premises to open this agrovet, and I'm looking for space. So I go to this old man called Mahanu Monada. He had a few houses to let, and I go to him and I tell him I'm looking for space to lease. And he looks at me and he's like, "Is something crazy with you? How old are you?" So I'm telling him, I'm about 27 or thereabout. And what is your education? I say, I have a degree. I don't even want to say in which area. And he's asking me, "You've gone to university, and instead of looking for a job, you are here asking for space.
You want to open a shop.
Is something wrong with you?" I said, "There's nothing wrong." So what he did, he told me, "Go away, let me think about it." Because I don't think he believed that I could do or maybe he thought I had not through the whole process. So I stayed for another 1 week, 2 weeks. I go back to him. And he was a wholesaler, so he sat there and his wife sat in the background. She was the one who always collected the money. So I can say, "I've come back, and I'm looking for the premises." So he laughs and calls his wife and says, "Come on, listen to this young man." So the wife says, "What does he want?" He says, "He wants a business, premises." So it's like, okay. Whose son are you? I try to say my father's name, it doesn't click. So eventually he asked me, I have some buildings and the rent is 1,500. Can you even afford that? I say, "Yes, I'll pay for 3 months." and I have the money, so I can remove the money. So says, "Okay." So the wife says, "Why don't we try him?" So I pay my 4,500. So I start this agrovet. So I buy a few drugs, and my sister, who was then working at Bungoma High School, her husband was working in Nairobi. So he had bought a bicycle and left it in her home. She didn't use it, but whenever he came home, he would use it. So I start this shop. And so I have my youngest brother, Isaac, had just finished Bungoma High School. So he becomes my first employee. So he sits in the shop. And so I have this bicycle from my brother-in-law, which I use then to treat cows. So I moved from, there was a government veterinary service, but it was a bit inefficient. So it's same problem. You go there, you call them, they will tell you, "Before we come, weka mafuta kwa gari." Alafu enda nunua dawa. They have not even seen the cow, but they are saying nunua dawa. It's like the entry cost for you to alafu sasa hii Land Rover unajua ni Land Rover 110. Mafuta ni mingi. So me, I would go with my bicycle. I don't charge for it. I'm doing exercise and like the treating. So I become very popular. Within a few months, everybody's looking for me. This is a doctor with a master's. Treating on a bicycle, and I was doing a good job, and the farmers were seeing the animals were healing. But then my mother had, of course, I had come around, and I was not sure how to tell her about this business thing. So she's told by her neighbors that kijana yako amerokwa. There is no way somebody can just go to university and then come back and do stupid things.
No, and start riding a bicycle in the village.
Riding a village.
Surely.
And running from one boma to another.
Yes.
She was told, my sister, this one, you have a problem, a real one. So she comes. One of this morning, I wake up to come to open the shop. I find her sitting on the veranda. And she says, we have to talk. I say, okay, okay. So we took you to school to come and do these stupid things. Okay, so I say, no, mommy, I'm
making money.
I'm making money, and no, she said, no, you have to look for a job. There's something wrong with you. If nobody has told you, let me tell you from today. But this thing is picking up. You see, initially when I started, we would sell like 300 shillings a day. Then we had gone to 2,000. By the time she's trying to intervene, we are clearly doing well. We would sell even up to 20,000 a day.
You're doing very well.
In my view, we are doing extremely well. And you see, this shop was not just a shop. It was also my house. So what happened was, you see the way the shops are structured. There's the front part and then the back part. So on the back part, I had put my bed and my mattress there. And then my brother, who had a mattress, during the day he would slip the mattress below my bed. But when we close the shop, he puts it in the middle of the shop. So we were quite self-contained.
Hey.
But long story, today if you go to Bungoma town, there stands a 5-storied building called Nomad House that was built out of that sweat. Much later, when my mother was sick and ailing, I could afford to take her to Nairobi Hospital. And when her bill was 500,000,
you could afford
yes. And therein in her bed, she told me, so you knew what you are doing after all. But it took a long time for her to understand where I was coming from. And for me, it was practical. I asked myself, if I can sleep in a manyata, what is difficult with what? In fact, what I'm doing is an improvement. And so that crazy idea then created a lot of jobs. In my view, it solved a lot of problems, but I also realized something else. As I was treating these cows, that quite often the problem was not the sick cow. That the person who actually needed treating was the owner of the cow. Because 90% of the problems emanated from the fact that people were keeping chicken, pigs, dairy cows, that they did not understand how to take care of. So how it did not matter how many times you went back, it did not matter how much drugs you administered. It comes to my mind that what these people need is education. And this is how I transition now from the business into Sacred Africa. So I start a small community-based organization where we would now teach you how to take care of chicken. And the question I asked them was, for example, if you look at your chicken has just hatched 10 chicks, and you leave it to run around. So I asked the mamas, so how many chicks would mature? They say, if you are lucky, 2. So you have 10, and you lose 8. And why are you losing them? Say, the eagle will pick some, then something will happen, then something. So my question to them then was, when this chicken has hatched the chicks, why are they following her? Are they suckling? They say no. So what is it doing? They say, it's looking for food. And which food does it find? They say, it will find a grasshopper here. Wow. So I ask her, so how many grasshoppers do you think this chicken will find in a day? And they'll say, okay, well, some maybe 2, maybe 3. So I ask her, if they find 3, first of all, it needs to feed itself.
And then it has 10 chicks.
And then it has 10 chicks. Do you think it's enough food? They say no. So what do you think is killing your chicken? They say it's actually hunger. So sio mwewe itachukua moja. So then I ask her, if the chicks are following the mother looking for food, you can actually do a better job of feeding these chicks, isn't it? They say yes. So let's talk about feeding of chicks. So it was a very practical thing, and so when you simplify it, then you realize that is.
We need to talk about the launch.
Okay. So this interesting story and others. Today we are launching this book at the Nairobi Club at 6:00. And we really want to invite you. And the book is also available online at Nuria stores. You can buy it online. It will be delivered to your house. And you can enjoy these stories that I'm talking about. It's a very simple story. But for me, it is a very profound and impactful story.
It's a gripping story.
It is. Practical stories, indeed. Practical stories. Here's the book. This is how it looks like. It's Juma Muhwana autobiography, My Passion for Change, book written by the PS for Industry, just telling his life and his journey and up to the point where he's gotten and what he has gotten to understand. Asante sana for joining us, PS.
Thank you so much.
Nairobi Club.
And thank you for hosting me, Nairobi Club, 6
p.m.
And also at Nuria book stores. You can buy it online.
Okay.
So it's available. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. We'll be back tomorrow. It's Eric, CT, and Dennis Aseto. Have a lovely day. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life